Good evening, everyone. I'd like to reconvene the open session for the Coventry School Committee. I have 7:01. And if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you could remain standing for a moment of silence as we consider the work before us this evening. You may be seated. And Mrs. Andrews, if you would do the safety notifications for the public, please.
Sure. In case of an emergency, there are doors behind you. Exit out those doors to the left or the right and outside. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Murray, if you could read the mission statement for Coventry Public Schools.
The Coventry Public Schools, with community partnerships, educate, inspire, and motivate students to be lifelong learners.
Thank you. And just to notify the public, the school committee met for less than 15 minutes before this meeting in executive session where we considered our home school requests, and we approved our executive session minutes from 3/14/19. Those votes, 2 votes were unanimous on both of those, so 5-0. That being said, is there a motion to approve the, to seal the records of the executive session minutes?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that the records of the executive session be kept closed pursuant to sections 42-46-4 and 42-46-5.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to the approval of our open meeting minutes from 3/14/19. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the open meeting of 3/14/19 as presented/amended.
I second the motion.
Any questions from the committee on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to personnel. Mrs. Andrews, did you want to speak to any of these?
I'd just like to thank Mrs. Castro for many years of service to the Coventry Public Schools and wish her well in her retirement.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resignation of Philomena Connie Castro?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the resignation of Philomena Connie Castro, 4/day teacher assistant inclusion at Allen Sean Feinstein Middle School, effective June 30th, 2019, for the purpose of retirement.
I second the motion.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries 5-0. Is Connie here? I'm sure we all wish her well in her retirement, so congratulations. Moving on to coaching appointment, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to affirm the recommendation of the superintendent to appoint Mark Streech, assistant baseball coach at Coventry High School, effective March 28, 2019.
I second the motion.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries 5-0. And is Mr. Streich here? Moving on to the public agenda, the remaining items on our agenda are open for public discussion. If the committee is going to motion on something, we will, before we actually call for the vote, we will bring it back to the public for any comments or questions that you might have. That being said, let's move on to number 7, which is the celebration of Gail Farrell, Rhode Island CTE Teacher of the Year.
Kathy?
Oh, yes.
Can you,
Oh.
switch the order, because she's not here yet. She just texted to find out how to get it.
No problem, no problem. Absolutely. I bet she is.
Lori said if I try to get her.
Okay, so I guess we're going to go to 8, the Coventry High School Unified Program. So I'm not sure, I guess, Mrs. Hutt, you're going to handle this. Hello, welcome. You probably do need, well, I don't know, if you're going to have to speak really loudly, just because we're filming and apparently sometimes things don't carry onto the film.
How's your son doing at the university? Very good.
Okay.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to present on Unified Ochres. This all came about from the Ochre Hour, and Mrs. Maycumber approached me because she's a wonderful girl, approached her about wanting to do something to unify our school, to make it more inclusive. So, of course, I said absolutely. This is a very important thing to me, too. And today we're actually celebrating that we got that $18 million back for the Special Olympics.
Yes. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Woo!
So I'm going to let them take over the program and
Great.
any questions from anybody.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I just want to start by introducing us. We're part of the Unified Program at Coventry High School. My name's Hannah Gebler, and I'm a senior. I'm Jay Joyce, I'm a junior.
I'm Juliana Sinat, I'm a junior.
I'm Abby Sinat, and I'm a senior. I'm Riley Campbell, and I'm a senior. And we just want to talk a little bit about who we are and what we stand for first. So our group promotes inclusion within the school for any kids, no matter who they are or where they come from or what grade they're in. We wanted to create friendships and build bonds between people that normally wouldn't be able to see each other. And our mission is to create a wave of kindness and acceptance that spreads out of the classroom and into the community. So we started this year by meeting with the Conagansett Unified team to learn about how they built their program up and how inclusion affected their school. They gave us a lot of great tips on how to begin our program at Coventry High School. So our first action was to create the Youth Social Group. Youth Social Group hosts parties for kids with disabilities and kids without disabilities. We have parties such as the Halloween party, the Christmas party, and the Valentine's Day party. The Youth Social Group allows friendships to be made that may not have happened just because of conflicting class schedules and lunch schedules. We also had a meeting where we made posters to welcome back a student from a lengthy surgery and welcome him back into our community and hope for a speedy recovery. So seeing our inclusion working with our youth social group, we wanted to spread it from our 100-kid group to the 1,000-kid school. To do this, we held assemblies for all the classes, starting with the freshman and sophomore classes before winter break. After winter break, we presented to the juniors and seniors and asked Conagansett to come and present with us. In all the assemblies, the importance of inclusion was emphasized, and how kids can create more of a unified school was told for everyone. And in January, we teamed up with Conagansett High School to go on to Westerly and just talk about what we've done to spread our unified program and build it up, and how we've come so far in just a year. We really want to spread inclusion throughout the entire state of Rhode Island and get more schools included. So earlier this year, we had a bracelet fundraiser. They're just red bands that say Coventry High School chooses to include. We sold them for $1 during lunches, and it's just a simple way to promote our program. And then we also had a Unified Ochres alumni basketball game. So during one of our advisory blocks, the whole high school came to the team, and our current Unified basketball team played against all alumni players. And it was just a good way to show school pride over the years. And then in preparation for our Unified Punch, which was last Saturday, we reached out to local businesses, and some made direct donations, and some donated gift cards and other incentives for fundraising for our students. And we sold Unified Ochre t-shirts, which many of the teachers are wearing today, which is just another way to show unity and support the plunge. And lastly, we had penny words during Spirit Week, and I'm proud to say we raised $1,200 that all went towards sponsoring 24 kids to plunge last Saturday.
We didn't want anybody to feel like they couldn't finish because they couldn't raise the funds. So in an effort to, include everyone, with that money, I took a bunch of kids that had signed up for the plunge, had not raised any money, and we called them down, said, do you still want to do it? Oh, we haven't raised funds, we will sponsor you. You're going to do it? And they were all for it.
That's
So
awesome.
it really included, that's really what brought our numbers up, thanks to the, student council and the penny wars money.
So our Unified Plunge was last Saturday,
Wow, woo-hoo! Wow. I bet.
So this video is from the plunge. It shows all the. It's like a sea of red just going through. So it's really. It should work.
It was my video.
Ooh.
Maybe not.
Well, believe us.
I don't know. Are you allowed to take Google Docs? Yeah. And it was my video that was put up. I don't know why.
So these are some of our future plans and goals for the rest of this school year as well as next year. So currently we're in contact with Special Olympics to establish a unified Oakers volleyball team for hopefully next fall. We've been planning on.
We've been talking to our athletic director and assistant about seeing if that can move forward. So they've been intricate with us.
And we've been planning our April Youth Social Hour, which will be Easter themed. We plan on doing an egg hunt. April 27th, we're going to Pontiac at High School to meet with the leadership, the unified leadership team there, as well as Special Olympics spokespeople. We're going to have another unified Oakers basketball game during advisory, and at this game, we plan on honoring the seniors who are on the team as like their senior night. We want to establish a new e-board for next year because our seniors will be leaving us, and also create a funds appropriation protocol. And we have to set our youth social calendar for next school year, as well as for the freshman first night in August, we plan on inducting all of the new freshmen who are coming into our school into this movement. And in the fall, we plan on presenting about our movement to the middle school and then eventually work our way down to all the elementary schools. So this is our pledge that we've adopted from Pontiac High School, and we feel that it really encompasses like our true goal of our movement, and we really want this statement to kind of be like a part of the Coventry culture and community. So at this time, we would ask if you could all stand up and please repeat after me. As a
Member of the Coventry community, I pledge to look for the lonely, the isolated, the left out, the challenged, and the bullied. I pledge to overcome the fear of indifference and replace it with the power of inclusion. Here, here.
Okay, and I remember starting this and, she said, I want to do this, I want to do that. And she goes from here to here. I said, can we take baby steps? But honestly, she really encouraged us. She's a huge supporter of this. And we couldn't have done it without Mrs. Maycomber. So this is, I know, true to her too. So, thank you for listening to us and for letting us take a couple of big jumps, not even baby steps, but we're going towards the right place. It's a big school. We keep bringing up Pontiac because Pontiac has been, they went to China. They've had an unbelievable presence in the state, not only in the state, really in the country. So, we have connections there, and it was thanks to them. They've really been coaching us throughout this whole entire movement. But they have a much smaller school. However, it's going to happen. We said we're there, as we say in Spanish. So, we're going to continue, and we are really going to be sad to lose our 3 seniors who have been amazing throughout this whole process. But we've got 2 awesome juniors that are going to take over, and we're already trying to find other kids in our school that have leadership ability that really, I think the plunge, they came out and they were like, we want to do this, we want to do this. So
We have
said,
kids
okay.
reaching out to us now and saying, how can we be part of this? We want to work with you, so now we have to reach out to them. More.
Where'd you do the plunge?
Salty Brine Beach.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could have seen the video,
That's
but
okay. We can imagine.
Actually, Brooks made a video of it, which we can share.
Yeah. send it up.
It was a sea of red.
I bet.
They may have, Pontiac may have, beat us with the money just by a couple
Yeah.
$1,000, but we, really, I think it was like 1,800, but we had 100 participants, and they had 50.
Wow.
So we were very proud of that, very proud of that. And they've been doing it for 6 years, so this was our
Right,
first year.
yeah,
It
it's
was
gonna get bigger.
amazing.
And we already gave them a run for their
The two schools have worked so well together.
That's
It's been
great.
a great partnership.
That's wonderful.
You know, because we don't want it just for the schools. We do want
Yeah, statewide.
the world we live in. We need more inclusion everywhere.
So true.
It's a great message that we've teamed up and, you know, like the girl said, we went to Westerly already. We've had other schools reach out to us. Special Olympics, I think it's April 27th, we're going there to meet up with some of their schools. So
Cool.
they have a very close relationship with, Tim Trevor. Yeah, Tim Trevor. He's been there numerous times, and I don't know, he may be there that day. We're hoping. We'll get him. We're gonna get him to our school. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Before you sit down, we'd like you to just hang for a minute in case there are any questions or
Thank you.
comments from the committee. Thank you, I was so how much are these, $1? Not any money. No, thank you, I'll try to donate something toward it.
Might be too tight.
Hey, maybe you'll even get the school committee to do the plunge next year.
Right?
We'll be ready. We'll be ready. So are there any comments? Yeah, I just wanted to go down. Dave, do you have any comments, questions?
You have a great team, Mom. I mean, you've done such good work, and you did such good work with your son, who's the valedictorian.
Thank you. And really, this is all because of, I can't talk about
No, don't.
I have a 22-year-old son with Special Needs.
Yeah.
So he was part of Special Olympics, and he was at the plunge. He was very excited to see
Wonderful.
all of his old teachers and friends.
Nice.
So
Oh, that's
it's,
nice.
you know, it's very dear to me.
Yeah.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. You're all to be congratulated, obviously, but the fact that this was a bottom-up effort is all of what is right with our schools, that we sit up here and think of everything has to be pushed from the top down. And a lot of that doesn't involve you as students, but the fact that you took your own initiative, and I was in the military and had a term, under leadership: loyalty, duty, respect, honor, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And you exemplified all of that in this. To have the bravery to move forward and take an initiative and raise $12,000 in a single year is amazing. And I'm in awe. So thank you.
I just think that what you've done it's wonderful. It really is. The whole part of being inclusive with everybody, it's like we do that where I'm employed, and it's just nice to see young kids, young people wanting to do this and to work with another school and a rival school, and that's just awesome. You really did a wonderful job in that. You really should be proud.
Just terrific job. Keep it up. Can't wait to see what you do next year, because as someone mentioned, this is just your first year. It's only going to grow.
That's right.
It's terrific.
And finally, I just want to say you guys are awesome. Just awesome. Absolutely awesome. I'm glad I just by accident wore red today. I'm really glad. And it's just amazing to see this kind of empathy from young adults. I don't want to get, because I'll cry too. But it's so heartwarming to see this, as well as it's a wonderful experience for everyone that's involved. So I hope you, our seniors, any plans to do special ed or? No.
I want to do the best buddies in college.
Oh, good. Good.
Coming back next year for the plunge. Oh, we'll
Yeah.
do that.
Oh, the plunge, yes, yeah. Yeah, please make sure we know about that as school committee members, because, we may want to do that as a group. That would be fun. Yeah. No swimsuits. No.
Do you ever see
No.
those old
I'll
fashioned
go in
ones
with
with
a
the
towel.
stripes? I think he still has him.
I'll be there, don't worry. I don't care.
It's really, that's why this was successful.
Yeah,
And that's why I said absolutely, because these girls, it was their idea.
yeah,
They said, we want to do this.
yeah,
And, this is why it was successful,
yeah.
because it came from them, and it was wonderful.
And I think you're going to be successful. You're up-and-coming leaders as well. Your enthusiasm, you're just going to make everybody want to do it. It's just a great, great idea, and we thank you 100%. Make us proud.
Thank you.
Is there anything from the public before we go to our next agenda item? I don't know if anybody wanted to say anything. We probably said pretty much everything. Just a yay to everybody, yeah. Yes, University of Pennsylvania.
I know, I think that's
Two
wonderful.
different animals.
UPenn, that's right.
Yes, Ivy League.
Because if they
All
start
right,
at this
now is
She's amazing.
Gail,
when they get to be
I don't know who she is.
employment,
She is, yeah?
you know, it's like,
Sorry.
it's just gonna be automatic, they're not gonna have any, you know.
She's an amazing woman.
Thank you so much, and yes, you guys can go home and do your homework. Thank you so much for coming and presenting to us. Okay, so I guess the star of the hour, Gail Farrell, is here. So, you can stand right there. Yes. Oh, that's okay.
I'm honored and thrilled to be nominated as the Career Technical Educator of the Year. My feet have really not touched the ground since that was announced. We had a great showcase last evening at Skills USA Awards Banquet at Rose Texas, where I received a very nice award and had the pleasure of all those students who are in career and technical programs across the state, just don't want to my back, gentlemen, excuse me, across the state for the credentials that they're earning in industry. And they competed in their arena, and then they won medals, or even just the honor of competing, the thrill that they had going up on that stage and being recognized. That's what we're all about, and career and technical is really exciting at this point. We're being recognized for what we do. It's been a long haul, and it's exciting. RIDE has created new pathways and initiatives. There's just so much more. I hand it to Lori Ferguson, who is nonstop, going, making us better, improving, bringing on more opportunities. And I was very proud to have 2 gold medal winners last night who will be competing on the national arena in Louisville, Kentucky this July. Lori, help me with the numbers. We had 5 gold medals, 5
Nice.
gold medals,
3
Nice.
silver and 3 bronze.
Very good.
Congrats. Great.
Second automotive gold winner in a row.
Oh, okay.
And our last year's automotive gold winner won gold for New England Tech last night. So our students from last year won again this year.
That's great.
So it's really cool.
That's
That's
awesome.
very cool.
That's great.
Their
Some
success
good things.
is our success. So I really speak for all the career educators and this lineup here, my colleagues at Coventry High School. This is Coventry Fire. Really, I'm so blessed to work with all of you. So blessed. And I'm thankful. So thankful.
Congratulations. Good. Any comments from the committee? Yeah, we're gonna just, you're our star.
Yeah,
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
You're welcome.
Anything from Laurie?
I'd just like to thank Gail for the 16 years that she's dedicated to Coventry and its students. Clearly, you're an outstanding educator, and finally are being recognized, so thank you for all that you do for our kids every single day.
Great. Hooray. Any comments or words from the citizens gathered? Again, we just celebrate you, and we're so happy that everybody else knows how great you are, too. Thank you. So I guess we can continue to number 9, which is the Preschool Bright Stars update presentation.
So, yeah.
I think I brought those.
Mm.
I got a tickle. Look how cute.
Hey, I'm back again.
Oh, good.
So we're here tonight, it's really just kind of a recognition of our teachers. Even though we found out 2 weeks ago that we did get our 5 stars, and Mr. Levitt said, don't tell anyone, it's gonna be a secret from my school committee. The next day,
He
Kendra
blew.
calls me, and I'm like, how do you know that?
You
So
blabbed.
it didn't stay a secret, and it's been kind of a whirlwind since then. We've been very busy. But I'm gonna do a quick overview of the people that really made this possible, which is our preschool. So we did get our 5 stars in Bright Stars last 2 Thursdays ago. The night of the school committee got notified, after 3 tries. You can go on, Joyce. That's really what we get at paper. But this is what's impressive, so I know you've seen this chart before. Bright Stars is assessment in 10 categories. That's our bar chart. We are at the top of that chart in every single category now. So I'm gonna give you a little idea of who our teachers are, so
Cool.
they're all here tonight. I have Ms. Gervasini.
Wonderful.
We obviously didn't bring all those preschoolers here, so these are their classes, or AM or PM class. Ms. Gervasini's been with us, this is her 3rd year, has come huge growth. She's moved with her kids. It is just so nice to see the Bright Stars process apply in the classroom. I was there yesterday, and we've had, every time we do this, we take that data, we assess that data, what can we change? We had last time that cited on a little bit about greetings and how we greet our students. It was so nice yesterday, I watched Arrival, and there's Ms. Gervasini out her door personally greeting every single student on the way in. So, I mean, those are things where we've made growth just in a short time.
If our teachers could stand when your name is, that'd be great. And just continue standing. You're young, you can handle it. Yeah. Yeah. No, keep standing, keep standing. Yep, keep standing. We want to see you all.
In that classroom, and Ms. Jessica.
Okay.
Next teacher is Ms. Card. Ms. Card is new
Hi.
to us this year, but not new to early childhood. She has several years in the Cranston school system.
Cool.
And she's here, and she's still got a smile on her face. It's a lot of things are very different than what she was used to, but she is an amazing teacher to go in there and watch what she does with the children and her skills. Hasn't really needed a lot of guidance for us that are different, but great first year. And these are her kids. The little guy in the bottom, just so you know, he's not in the class picture because it's kind of, I'm one of his favorite people. There's not many who would do that, but he wouldn't stay in the picture because he calls me grandma. And he's in the picture and he's going, Mama, Mama. So he had to stand with me, so we got a picture by himself later. You don't realize how challenging it is to get 3-year-olds to sit in a group picture.
Oh, yeah.
Mrs. Ingham is here with her daughter. She
Hey.
has her assistants are Miss Denise, Miss Laurie, Miss Libby, and Miss Melanie. That's her AM and her PM class. Miss Ingham's our most senior preschool teacher. She's been with us about, I think we figured out 8 years. With us, Miss Ingham is a teacher that lots of state people come in because of what we do. I get questions all the time. Can I have an observation in that classroom? So that room is always requested. Can I go in that room? It's sure, sure. It's exactly how she said it. Sure. But lots of state people, the state trainers have gone in her room as a model class for training on the tool called the ICP. And she's always open. We've supported some teachers at parochial schools that wanted some support on improving their preschool. And they all just always say yes to me. This is Flex. Miss Megan is a brand new teacher. She is a first year teacher. And to come into what we were doing, she has taken on every challenge. She's done the bright side. She comes from early intervention, so she has experience but not teaching. And she's come into our world with, all right, we're getting you ready for Bright Stars. This is what you got to do. This is what, and it's a lot to get ready. And she has had a great year.
Good.
Doing great with us. She's moving along, but she had to go to so many trainings to get ready for this. Oh, we just got to one more training, but never complains. Follows every step, goes forward with the students every day.
Wonderful.
Miss April. Miss April, Miss Stacy, Miss Christina, Miss Mandy are stars. Bright Stars is a process. We have those 10 categories. The hardest category is category 1, which is learning environment. Category 1 is the part people know as the ECHR. That's a visit to your classroom. They visit a quarter of your classroom. In June, we had a visit in Miss April. It's randomly picked. So in June, Miss April's afternoon class, morning and afternoon separate, was the picked target, was the ECHR's visit. She had the visit, she had them come in. So when we had to reapply in September because of our programs moving, she had a 10% chance, every other teacher had a 20% chance of getting picked. It was Miss April. So April's morning class got picked this year, and I'm going to show you her incredible progress. I think it's on the next slide. So this is the tool for the scoring on the ECHRs. On the side is these are both Miss April. In June, her overall score was a 4.83. For our 5 score, we need an average of 5. So we had that 1. But if you look at, this is June to March, and the gains in every single category for her. Space and furnishing, she moved up even in that. That has to do with some of our supplies in our centers. Personal care routine, I'm going to talk about after why that score is why it is. It's a challenging category. But then if you look, the most important category, language and reasoning, she got a 7. A 7 is a perfect score. Wow. She got every single piece on a 7. You can't do any better. There were no comments for improvement. So she moved from that 6.25 to a 7. Activity stayed the same. That has to do with our centers. Interaction, she moved to a perfect score of a 7. And program structure, she moved to a perfect score of a 7. Wow. Of 35 categories, April had 21 7s.
Wow. Woohoo! Wow. Congrats.
We had the list people out on Monday, and Ann, it happens to be a Bright Stars evaluate, and she said, I've never seen 7s on these total scores. So, I mean, it's very impressive, that move in a few months. And I'll give you a little idea of why the personal care routine, I don't like the title because it doesn't look good, but I'm going to show you why on the next one, where we don't get points. So our strengths, obviously, the important areas, language and reasoning, instruction and program structure. Those are all the student direct categories, and those are the categories April got perfect scores in. Where we have room for improvement, so interestingly, cubbies. So we actually fixed that problem in every classroom but April's because we thought we were good. Every classroom has a cubby for every student except for ours. So we got hit on that because students need to have their own cubbies. Easy fix. It's an easy fix. We just kind of thought we were safe and we shouldn't have. Playground. Our playground, if you saw in the Miss April, I just pointed out picture, we'll go back. So we have this playground that, if you see in the top corner, apparently we have a sinking fence. The fence is a standard 48 inches, but ours is not. It's sinking in some places. So it's a pretty hard hit that you don't need that. You can go back, Joyce. The fence not being it is considered a safety hazard, so that hits us very hard in that category. The other thing that hits us hard that we have no control over, nor do we intend to fix, at least the way they judge it, is parent access to the classroom. So in Bright Stars, you should have an open door policy. We're in a public school building. We cannot do that piece. Parents can't just walk to the room whenever they want, which we're working with other districts how they do it, but it's really not an area we are ready to give on because we have a security system in our schools. So that one. Healthy snacks. So we did get hit because somebody had potato chips the day of our visit.
It was the teacher.
Obviously, we encourage healthy snacks. We are not believers in taking children's snacks away. Washington Oak is not a title school, so we don't have this healthy snack option, which is a way to work around that. So we do our best we can, but we will not take children's snacks away.
I think they were correct. It's because of Craig.
They were potato chips. And then materials is just access to materials. So that's where we are. We've had a whirlwind of excitement over this. We're not really sure why. There are other programs that have done this, but I will give you some facts. So there are only 4 public school systems in the state that have a 5-star and Bright Stars. I'm going to tell you, Westerly is one. Westerly's program has 20 children. Charahoe is one. Charahoe doesn't say how many children, but it's one classroom in Charahoe, so it's the most 40 children at the most. East Providence is the 3rd one. East Providence is a 5-star only on their state pre-K. It is not their inclusive program. Our program is Unified is 100% inclusive. We do not have any preschools who are not in an integrated setting. So we're meeting these numbers with all of our children having full access in a high-quality program.
How many
148. So we have 148. There are 18 programs in the whole state, including private. We're the 2nd largest. There's a Cranston community program that has like 10 kids more than us. We are the 2nd largest program that have gotten 5 stars. If you go on the Exceed website, you can see, and by the way, it still says 4 for us. They haven't fixed that yet. You can see the sizes of the programs. Many of the programs that are 5-star are Head Start because they're meeting Head Start standards. There's several parochial schools that are very tiny programs and they can meet it. So, it's an accomplishment that we've done it as such a large program. We have not excluded any students from the program. It includes everybody in that program and everybody is included. So that's where we went. So we made the paper and then I think my last slide is our picture. And yesterday we went to the State House. We were kind of surprisingly, we were invited to the State House by one of the representatives, and we went and we got these things. There were 6 of us. Not everybody could come, but we got citations signed by everybody who can look at it. And it was quite an experience. I'd never been to the State House. So that was really nice, and hopefully, our goal is that's going to help us. On Monday, we submitted our district application for state pre-K, and now we'll wait for the 22nd to hear. But certainly a 5-star is going to give us a couple of
help.
I have one question, Denise. Does this help with early identification of children who need an IEP?
Yes. So the whole move for more preschool will do that. So the benefit of having larger programs, servicing more students, we can really move to not having to identify, but intervening in our programs. They are in a high-quality program. We can service them in a high-quality program when seeing that students have less needs. So we
great.
That's where we're at. So next year, our goal is to hopefully, put our kids and hopefully get to state pre-K. We will run our other programs as we have. Our lottery is April 8th, is our lottery for our half-day program. We have a lot of applications with all this activity. For the first time, we have a lot of 3-year-old applications. So because of that, we've always got most of our 3-year-olds in. I'm very concerned. We have a lot of applications. So May 23rd, the last LAC meeting, what I am organizing now is a town-wide early childhood kind of like we do transition fairs, but we're going to do an early childhood fair. I've already Head Start going to Tom, because I want to make sure the kids who don't get into a program have other options. So Head Start is coming, we're going to try to get some community things. If anybody in the district gets a state pre-K, because we are not the only people in Coventry who apply, we will explain that, because it's going to be very confusing for parents, because it's a different lottery, it's a separate lottery. So that's the plan for May, that we're going to have an early childhood forum type of thing, we're going to open it to the community.
So if you, the 3-year-olds that you have now, do they automatically get a spot in the 4-year-old?
Yes, as long as they're meeting policy,
Okay,
they roll up to the 4-year-old. Going to the state pre-K, we are not displacing anyone.
okay.
That's actually a requirement of the application. No one can be displaced, so everyone in our program will stay in our program. If we get state pre-Ks, obviously a lot of them will want that. It's a 6-hour-a-day program.
Right.
They're going to apply. It will definitely cause
Some
a little
friction.
chaos with the
Yeah.
lottery, and we'll have to bump kids in.
Yeah.
We have plenty of kids waiting for spots.
Oh, I can imagine. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
I just want to say
Yeah.
one more thing. Congratulations again.
I'd like to thank Denise and the preschool team. The data is really clear that 3 and 4-year-olds that participate in high-quality early childhood programs have a better chance by grade 3 of reading on grade level and closing any gaps for kids that may have been at risk. So the fact that we have 5-star preschool programs available and running in this community is a huge gift, and it's really due to Denise's work and the preschool teachers. So if I could have a couple of representatives from the preschool teachers and Denise come up front, please.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, something's going on.
Oh, I have to go, I forgot Joy, and so, I can't believe I forgot Joy, because Joy is like this little person on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I got the angels, that's Joy, she's always there. Joy.
She presented with you last time, right?
Joy
Yeah.
is our tonight teacher.
Right, yeah.
She is that person that pushes me, so if I kind of think, okay, enough, she won't let me say enough, she will keep going. She's that voice in my ear that doesn't let me, don't forget this step, don't forget to do that. She's my technical checker of my typing and writing, because I'm not very good at that. She finds every error. It was a joke, Lori saw, I wrote my proposal, I gave it to Joy, I approved this. I don't think you could see anything that wasn't highlighted, and oh God, was it that bad? But I couldn't really do this without Joy. She is also our ECRS pro. She knows the ECRS better than the ECRS evaluators do.
Oh, boy.
Almost to the point she drives the teachers a little crazy. You don't have enough items in your art category. She knows it inside out, and that's part of the reason we're able to do that. She corrected things. Last minute, Jason helped us change our cleaning solution so we can meet that requirement, because she's read it. No, you can use this one. She feels it like for what. So I couldn't do anything without her pushing me. Sometimes I want to hide from her, but that's what I need. She pushes me. She doesn't let me stop moving.
Good. Cool.
So I'd like to present this to the preschool team, and Jason Martin is ready to hang it for you tomorrow at Washington.
I'm not done yet. Oh, I can see
Ooh.
preschool. Oh, 5 stars. I can read it
Isn't
from the
that
back.
awesome?
Ooh, yeah. Woohoo.
Thank you.
Could you turn it around so we can see it?
Look at
How
that.
lovely
How
is
beautiful is
that?
that?
Wonderful. Great. All right, get
We
that
have one
hung.
to hang in front of central office
Oh, good,
also.
wonderful.
That's nice.
I think we might have some more comments from our school committee as well, so, Luke?
I just, so I've had the opportunity to work with Bright Stars pretty extensively on facilities. In my past lives or in my current lives, I'm a playground safety inspector, and I was hired by an organization called LIST to do assessments throughout the state. So I actually helped Westerly and the Babcock School in East Providence on their programs, specifically on playgrounds. So if you need me, yes.
They need a fence.
Yeah. But
They need a fence that doesn't sink.
yeah, the purpose isn't to highlight my experience. It's really to highlight yours, the improvements that you've made, because I know how difficult it is to make those incremental improvements, how detailed they are. And in talking, when I dealt with all of the programs throughout the state, they'd get very frustrated because they say, oh, they came on a day and just one little thing threw me off. That was it. And that affected our whole STARS rating. And they do surprise visits, and they give you, 24 hours, I think, to... Okay, yeah, 2-week window. So it's extremely detailed on how they do their assessments. And so you obviously should be very proud of the achievements that you've made, and I thank you for all your work.
Thank you. Anyone else? James?
Congratulations. Great job, everyone.
You've done a tremendous job. You really have. All of you.
And finally, I just want to I'm so glad all the teachers came. So it's so nice to see all your faces, and twisted the arm just a tad. It's just wonderful. This, working on school committee, it makes us feel so wonderful when this kind of work gets done. I'm not 100% surprised, because from the last presentation, I could tell that was the goal, and that you guys were going to cross all your T's and dot all your I's. And so we are very, very proud of you. Continue this great work. It's for our kids' future. Obviously, what's happening in this pre-K is just the best, and it's just going to make their lives so much better as they continue in their education. So we thank you for all the work, and for all the smiles and all the wonderful greetings you give your children every day. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to see these kids at age 3, at grade 3 is what I want to say. I want to see what happens when they reach the 3rd grade, and how Don, and see how our scores are going to go, because I have a very good feeling that we're hitting a mark here. We're hitting a goal, and I think with the upcoming classes, we're going to see a huge improvement with us.
We are seeing it. Yeah. Full day K. Yeah.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Definitely worth the money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you. The kids really appreciate it, and I appreciate it, and the community appreciates it. Thank you. And that's it. That's all, Madam
That's
Chair.
fine.
That's it.
Anything from the public before we move on? Any comments or questions? Okay. Well, again, you guys can leave if you want. Go home. Grade papers, whatever you have to do. I don't know if you have papers at your the stage. So we're going to move on to item number 10, which is the the volunteer policy. In your packet, you got the old and the new policy so that we could compare them. So I don't know if there were any questions before, or we can just motion for the dispense of the first reading, and then we can ask some questions. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to dispense with the first reading of the volunteer policy as presented / amended.
I second the motion.
Okay, are there any questions from any of the committee?
Anybody else?
Yeah, I guess.
I do have a couple. So my first general statement is, if there's any possible way in the future we could get like a red line strikeout method of doing this, so that we can see what was stricken and what has been added, almost like a legislative type, because it would be extremely helpful, because I had to look side by side and figure out what the
Yeah,
differences
fine.
were. A couple things. There was a change in under the policy statement, principals went to administrators under the policy. In Coventry Public Schools shall oversee the use of volunteers in their school. And it's a bit of a verbiage shift because on the next page we see a principal or designee shall be authorized to limit an individual's eligibility. And I was just questioning whether principals should still be included, such as principals or their designee, instead of just administrators on that. I understand trying to make it broader, but I think ultimately the principal should be the ultimate responsible
Yeah,
party.
it's a wordsmithing issue. So in the policy statement, when it refers to administrators, it talks about within their school. So it's really meant to be, you could change administrators to principal or designee.
Okay.
We could update that.
Sure.
Because I believe that was the intent.
Okay.
Is what we're talking about.
And then up top under purpose, and I know some of this was wordsmithing, it was just reorganization and some of it, but there was a shift in where at the end of the purpose it says these vendors shall be accompanied by school personnel, but in the previous line we have and vendors for school-related activities such as promotion and/or sales, rings, and yearbooks. But we have other people included in this paragraph. So I guess as I read it, it sounded like just the vendors would be accompanied by school personnel, whereas the old verbiage, which I'm going to have to find it, it was under, I believe, exclusions. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go back. I apologize. But it had a different,
Exclusions. The policy shall not apply to parents observing classrooms,
okay, yeah.
or visiting schools, guest speakers, mentors, who are enrolled, newspaper reporters, vendors for schools as rings, yearbooks,
Right,
etc.
provided they're accompanied by school personnel, which actually seemed to read pretty clear, but we changed it, and then I kind of questioned it. So, I don't know if others read it that way,
I
but
think,
it
I
seemed
think you
to.
need to talk to James, he's on the,
Okay, well, I don't know who else
Policy committee.
reviewed it, but,
I don't think, you haven't been
so,
on the policy.
is that
No.
something that we could look at?
Absolutely. Let me bring that back to the policy subcommittee
Okay.
because now that you point that out, in reading that, I think it was worded awkwardly.
Okay.
I think the original statement is a little more what we were going for, but I need to go back to the
All right.
subcommittee and verify.
And,
Good catch.
my last thing is, have we had any comments from the PTA, PTOs on this? Because it affects volunteers?
This is just the first reading, so
Yeah.
it's gonna go on.
Oh, okay, all right,
yeah.
that's fine then. I just want to make sure it gets in front and we don't have any issues.
Yeah.
Okay. That is all.
I had 2 typos, so I'll just pass those down to you.
Yeah, please do. You mentioned them last time, but we haven't
One
met
got
since
corrected,
our last.
one did get corrected,
they did? Oh,
but
good.
then I found 2 other ones, I guess I didn't read it closely
Yeah,
the
we'll
last
take
time.
'em. Thank you.
I think one of them was like toll or something, TOL or something, it did get changed unless I missed it again, but anyway.
Perfect. Very good.
Okay, so, were there anything from the public before we take this vote? Are we ready to dispense, or do you think there's enough work that needs to be done, James, that we should maybe not even,
These are pretty minimal amendments.
Okay,
I
so we
think
can
you could
still
dispense with the
go
first
forward.
reading. And
Okay.
if we fail to fix it by the next time, then we can table it.
okay, sounds good.
That's a good
Anything
way
from
to
the
go.
public before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries 5-0. All right, moving on to 11, approval of the data manager contract. That was our reference number 5. Were there any questions before we move on this? I'm sure Mrs. Andrews can answer anything. Were there any questions from anybody?
I had a question, but
Sure.
I have to find it. Or maybe I didn't have a question. No, sorry, my
You're
question
good?
was answered. I'm all set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the data manager contract for Patty Martin as presented / amended.
I second the motion.
Anything from the public? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to 12, which is the CH accountability rating. And we have a lot of folks here in red shirts. I see.
So, we actually wanted to do this as a leadership team. We've been talking about the RISE star rating, which is the new accountability
Yeah.
rating.
Mhm.
I know that at a previous meeting, I think you looked at some of the,
We did.
elements that go into it,
Mhm.
but we've been talking about it since these came out in the fall, about how we're going to improve, in the areas that we need to improve. And we've really been working as an entire school. A lot of it was started this summer when we really sat down to work. Even before we saw this, we knew what some of our issues, we know what they are, we know what needs work. So we actually thought this was interesting, our school motto, and after prosperous, we started to challenge, so we thought how fitting for this. This is difficult work, it's work that is going to take some time, but we have, I think, all of the right people here. I have all of the curriculum coordinators here tonight who helped put the presentation together. We have several other teachers representing a variety of departments here, so I just want to thank everybody for coming. So our objectives tonight, basically, are to consider the components of the most recent CHS star rating, to provide context of our current efforts, to improve our RISE star rating, and to identify key concerns or potential shifts in our star rating subcategories. We're going to break it down into subcategories for you.
Yep.
So as you've seen this chart before, this is how we are rated. It is super complicated. It took a while. I still even have a few questions about some of the scoring for this, and I do not know who came up with this system, but it is very complex. But basically, we are scored 3 stars, and really when we look at this chart overall, we cannot be any higher than our lowest rating. Our lowest rating right now is in test scores and our achievement in ELA and our growth in ELA. So until we move that, we cannot move any higher. I presented to you earlier in the year on SAT scores, and so we've been focused heavily on improving in that area. The other areas are graduation rates. We'll get to it in a minute. And then there's a group where you get a maximum of 15 points. The points then translate to stars in kids who exceed expectations, in absenteeism of students and teachers, and also our suspension rates. We total all of those together, and we come up with a score. Our score right now is a 12, which puts us in the 5-star category. So what we're looking at is obviously to raise those test scores, but we're also looking to not drop down
Anything
in
else?
those other areas. And so what are we doing to make sure that if we improve in one area, that we're not going down in another area? So I want to bring up a few people. I'm going to introduce Rancho and Julie Boyle. They're going to talk about how we're working on our achievement and growth. Unless Chuck doesn't fall. Grace and Julie.
Yes. So, yeah, we want to talk a little bit about that first component of trying to raise our test scores. So we're always thinking in all department areas, how can we work to help kids become stronger readers, writers, thinkers, analyzers. So in the short-term game, we're thinking about how we have the state test on September 9th. So all juniors will sit for the SAT, all sophomores will sit for the PSAT. So we put our heads together as a leadership team. Chuck and I really studied a lot of the resources that are available for SAT prep and tried to think of ways that we could, at least in the short term, help prepare our students better to take that SAT. So what we did to work with juniors is capitalize on some of our advisory time. So Chuck and I worked together to build a playlist of activities using the Khan Academy, the online resources for SAT prep. We went through and built a playlist that students could personalize their way through to prepare for just generally, what does the SAT look like? What do the questions look like? How many questions will there be? What will the time frame be? All of those sort of general test taking. And then obviously to look specifically at the ELA and then the mathematics questions that they'll be facing. So the playlist
is something that we asked the students to do during a series of advisory periods. So every time we had, I think it was a B advisory day, we would have the students working on SAT prep and junior advisory. So they've been doing that since February, and they're still doing that, and they're working their way through those test prep materials to prepare. So that was one of the big things that we did. We also offered them a carrot, motivating, you know, if you do all of the work we're asking you to do to prepare for SAT, then here's something short-term, again, that's in it for you. Not only will you hopefully do better on SAT and all of those obvious motivators that we hope would motivate kids, but the carrot of being able to be dismissed on the day of the senior-junior ball. So they'll be able to be dismissed at the same time the seniors are dismissed if they've completed all of these practice and preparation activities. If they haven't, then they'll have to wait to be dismissed, and then they can go get their nails done or whatever. We've also offered several Saturday practice tests, which you would think, just thinking about kids and, you know, they're working and all these other things. Hey, we're gonna offer SAT prep, you know, practice tests on Saturdays. We offered 3 sessions, or we will offer another one this Saturday, but really well attended, right? Anywhere between 30 to 60 students, depending on the day.
We have Saturday, I think, coming Saturday.
And they actually sat for a full-length SAT practice. And what's really cool with Khan Academy is you can like take a picture of your answer sheet, and then it will upload, and it will tell you what you know, were correct on and what you were incorrect on, and it will make suggestions on what to do next. So, Julie, you didn't do well on the VLA questions. Here's what you should do for tutorial.
Nice.
So it's really, really, really cool. So we've done that. And,
And are those all different
kids?
kids?
That culture for the ninth.
Are those all different kids too, or some kids come back?
There's some repeaters, and then some that are, you know, couldn't make this date, so they went this date.
Okay.
There were 120 kids in total.
That did it.
First time there were 50,
Yeah.
last time there were 29 or 30. Right, and then tomorrow, Saturday, 71.
And one girl was correcting her test, did say that her test went up 50 points from the week before, and that she done some of the tutorials.
Nice.
Because you have to do an
Yeah.
intervention to move your scores, you really
Right.
do.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're really, you know, the admins that have come in on their time on Saturdays to help, you know, and proctor those tests and do all of that, trying to create that culture on April 9th will be a whole school push to just, you know, set the tone and say these tests matter for you, they matter for our school, and, you know, work forward from there. But that's this picture is one of the SAT Saturdays, the kids taking the practice test in the Saturday sessions.
So, the SAT sessions that we set up were the point of it was exposure. Exposure to the format of the test, so exposure to the scoring and the content, and how they would be scoring for some of the stuff they haven't seen. We asked, so to have that practice was big. The advisors we asked to track the activity, and they're responsible just to hold them accountable, so that we can have a track record of who's eligible to go early. So in the math department, what we've been doing over the past several years is we tried a lot of different things to make things transparent and streamlined and consistent. Right now, our big 3, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, we have hosted on a website where we have common formative assessments, common summative assessments, and they're linked right on the website. So it's really easy for teachers to go into, and they know exactly what we're targeting. We've been doing a lot of training on blended learning, so we've been trying to increase use of technology in the classroom to personalize the experience and make it a little more engaging to the kids, because we get the battle of cell phones all day. A lot of fun. We've added AP Stats. This is year 3. We're adding computer science to AP next year. Growth. We added the math club this year. This was kind of cool because the first couple months we had 25 to 30 kids show up. And it was really cool because it was some kids that are in struggling classes and like struggling learners that you wouldn't expect, but they actually had a great time. And some of them were glad just to be part of something. So it was really awesome to see the varied levels in that. In math classes, any class with juniors, we're doing weekly SAT prep, so we'll do an opening 5-10 minute warm-up with released SAT questions, and that way we have the math teacher. Because when we built it for advisory, the challenge was you don't have a math or English teacher in front of them, so it's a little,
Awkward.
it was more about the format and everything exposure there, so this helped us in getting a math teacher in front of them to guide that process. We have a lot of kids doubling up to advance quickly through courses. The RTI interventionist has helped a ton, so kids that would typically score low, we're trying to shoot for everybody, so we're trying to get a 3s to a 4, trying to get a 1s to a 2 and everybody. So the RTI interventions have helped a ton. We also do a group where kids star scores are low, we'll take the lowest scores and we'll remediate based on those deficient skills from the star scores.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said that some of your struggling students were in the math club.
Yeah.
They joined. Did you find that helped them to become better, or?
If it's anything but confidence, then we'll take that as a win.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Yeah, because they feel the environment is inclusive and it's not designed to be, oh, you don't know how to do this. We work through them all together and it's very
Good.
great.
So I just have a question. What do you do in math club?
Great question. So there's a statewide program. It's they actually have math. It's like test competition.
Okay.
So you compete against other schools.
Oh,
So we're trying to build it so that next year we can actually go out and have teams. These problems are insane. Like it takes us as teachers like 20, 30 minutes to do them.
Yeah.
They have 10 minutes to do 4 of them. Yeah. So it's great. But it's designed to be a whole competition thing, which will start next year.
Nice. All right. Thanks.
And similarly, in ELA, we've had the good fortune to do some curriculum work over time, and the common assessments that we have are really solidly constructed, and we'll be looking going forward into our ELA curriculum work next year, looking at how we can align to better embed the SAT style questions and prep right into the curriculum across the board, so that they're not seeing it as something extra or something different. So we'll be working on that and continue to work on that, but we've got some great instruction going on in the classroom to help prepare and bridge that gap, and we've been working with Don Cowart and several folks to really, at the ELA side of things, work on monitoring with STAR and, looking at RTI with Lauren Hopkins, and Becky Haynes is an embedded literacy coach right into the career tech ed, which is just so invaluable to us to help kids who are in all different places. Like with math, we've added the AP, so now we offer literature and composition. We're hoping in the short year too, we can add literature and, the other side of the ELA, AP test language. But, just really working hard to make sure the kids are writing frequently and reading high quality text that will, be exposed to vocabulary and that kind of stuff that can happen in SAT. So as you go through this, if you're interested in seeing the playlist or you want to see more specifically, we've put a lot of live links in here, so if you go back, you can see the type of materials that we've created for the students to use, and, been very mindful of trying to make sure they're user-friendly and make sense. Brooke has been great about sharing it with parents, so we've had a lot of parents, asking us about the SAT materials, and hopefully, like Chuck said, we can move those kids who are on the cusp, between proficient and exceeding. We can move that subgroup, and we can move these different subgroups just a little bit. We don't really need that much to move that up, but as Brooke said in the opening, unfortunately, the STAR system is set up in such a way that we're only as good as our lowest score. So if we stay at 3 in the SAT, math, at ELA, no matter what we're doing elsewhere, it'll remain a 3. So we're very conscious of that and working together as a team to fix that.
Great. Thank you.
Can you help?
Thank God.
What are we doing to improve our graduation rate? Right now, our current graduation rate, our 4-year graduation rate is 91%. What are we doing to try to do that? Well, first of all, we know that when students are retained, they're less likely to graduate down the road. So we want to try to retain as few students as possible, but still have them meet the standards and pass all their credits. So a couple of things that we're doing. First one is we have an Edgenuity advisory. Chris Hoskins and a math teacher and Mike Cook, they take students in their advisory and they specifically work on credit retrieval. We started the year with students that did not go to summer school, And we took those students and we put them in for the first school, and we said, okay, now you're gonna finish. You're gonna finish and you're gonna get credit. And it was students who did not go to summer school and could be promoted to the next grade if they had one or two classes, had gone for one or two classes and didn't. So those students, were the first group, 20 students in that advisory, they went in, they finished, they retrieved their credits during the advisory block, they were promoted to the next grade. So that was that little cohort that we moved on. Then we went to freshmen, and we put freshmen in who we failed first quarter, we didn't want them to fall behind, so we put them in for the second quarter, those students, and the 20 more. Right, Chris? Keep looking around. 20 students, freshmen, English and math specifically. Make sure they try to earn that credit back, or at least earn that quarter back. So what happened is, if they failed the first quarter, they went into the Edgenuity Advisory in math or English, and they regained what they lost in that quarter. The teachers specified exactly what content that they needed to recover. We set up their Edgenuity account so it specifically correlated to what they needed. They went in, they retrieved the credit, and then we took whatever their average was for that quarter, we moved it up to a 65. They would at least have, they were at least passing. We did the same thing for the third quarter, freshmen again, because we had a large number of those kids, so we put freshmen in again, and our goal next quarter would be to go to anybody who needed it, who needs that credit retrieval, other than seniors, because there was a different plan for that. So we're using that, so as of right now, and I know that is a link, you can go in, I think there were 60 kids right now that are on Edgenuity, and they're recovering credit. So we're trying to keep those kids to keep moving forward, gaining their credit so they don't fall further behind. And we're not waiting until the summer to get it done. We're trying to do it now, as many as we can now. The credit retrieval, I think that goes with the seniors, but what we're doing with seniors is we have seniors who, as of now, if the school year were to end today, they would not be graduating. And we know that because of what their current grades are or were at the end of the first semester. So we've spent the last 2 weeks, I know several people from central office have been over meeting with the guidance counselors, me and the guidance counselors, and we've gone through and we've had every single one of their 33 of their parents and students in, and we've talked to them about what they can do right now to try to get them, we gave them a lifeline. That's exactly what I said to them. I said, we're giving you a lifeline to graduate on time on June 6th. Basically the same thing as the Edgenuity Advisory. Teachers are going to tell us what they need to recover in each of the classes that they need to recover. We'll make their Edgenuity so that they can just the material that they need, specific to them, and then they are going to stay. The deal is, and people that we made is they have to come to an academic lab block with either Lauren Hopkins if they're struggling in English, or John Kelly if they're struggling in math, and they have to stay at the Success Academy 1 night a week. We have Success Academy Mondays and Wednesdays from 2 to 4. They have to stay at least one of those nights, and one of us will be there to kind of monitor what they're doing and make sure they're working while they're there. In addition to that, we told them that they can have no unexcused absences, tardies, or dismissals for the fourth quarter, no conduct infractions, and they have to pass the fourth quarter. And we explained to them that they have to buy in to what we're doing, giving them a lifeline to graduate on time. We want them at the Ryan Center to walk across the stage, and this is what we're willing to do for them. They have to be willing to come in and give us a little bit too. So that's what we're doing to get them through, and then of course we'll have the regular summer school for the students who need it at that point. And then the internship opportunities, we're just trying to give students who may not want to spend, a lot of times when they get to be seniors there, they're sick of being in the high school. They want to go do something. So Lori Ferguson has been awesome with trying to get as many people out into internships as they can. We and guidance are trying to get students out into internships. We work with Donna Hudson, our student career counselor, and try to get students, if we can, as many periods that they can to go out on the internships if they want to. But right now, I think we're about 40 kids that go out on internships right now. Some of them go out, they do the school every other day. They only need English, math, and phys ed, so they come to school one day and get that. And then the other day, they're out on their internships. Some are paid, some are not paid. So that's what we're trying to do, get our numbers up and get the students to retrieve their credits and stay with their original cohort and graduate on time.
I like the internship program. Earl Reed was my intern.
Yeah.
So,
So you're responsible for Earl.
I'm responsible for Earl Reed. if you want to go there. But Donna, is it working?
Yeah, On the sheet that you have, that link that you have that
Yeah.
has the list
Yeah.
of the students who are currently in Ingenuity, everybody that's highlighted in green has already finished. But yeah,
So-
it's working.
Very good,
So,
Donna.
hoping that it keeps going this year.
Okay.
Yes,
Could you give us, could you give us a little explanation of what Edgenuity is?
Oh, I'm sorry. Edgenuity is an online program.
I kind of
It's
figured
all
that, but I
Common
was just kind of
Core,
curious.
Aligned.
Yep.
We have 300 classes that we can choose from now.
Mhm.
And we can click on, we choose the course, then we can specify it to whatever the student needs. So sometimes if the student has a 63 average in English and they only have to read the best,
Mhm.
then that would be the only section that we would assign to that student. So we can customize it to the student, just exactly what they need.
Is this a new product or something
We've
we've
had
had
it
in the
for
past?
3 or 4 years, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
We're using it a lot more than we did in the last couple of years.
Mhm.
We've been using it for summer school, but now we're trying to really incorporate it into the day.
And this year, we got unlimited courses, as many as they offer.
I
We
see.
used to only have
Wow.
specific
I
courses.
see.
So now we can even use it for students who want to take something completely
Above and
different.
beyond or
We have a
different,
couple of students, one of them presented tonight, she's
Yeah.
taking a science class on it that we don't offer,
Mhm.
and she does that. So we're trying to give kids opportunities that didn't exist
And
before.
she's taking environmental science AP too, which is nice, because we couldn't offer that class, so we can give that to her.
So
We
how,
also use it for, if students are out long-term sickness, we put them on that program, and then we send tutors to that student to help them, but they have that. The program has keep lessons on it, then quizzes and tests and everything else.
how many children have you helped? How many young adults?
Hundreds, probably.
So they've-
This year alone, we've filled up the Edgenuity Advisory 3 times now, so 20 kids apiece.
Yeah.
Each time, so 60 kids have rotated through there, not to mention, we put kids on it just to work on it on their own. They have to test in front of us, so when they come, we unlock the test, they have to do it in front of us. But they're not easy programs either, the courses are difficult. So we, in the Edgenuity Advisory this year, switched out, we had a science teacher in there last year, we put a math teacher in because the kids really did need some
Some
math
math
support
guidance.
in there and things to be explained again, and so, that's worked out really, really well.
That's great. That is really, it's nice to see that you actually took something and said, hey, here's a plan, and it's working. It's great.
The Lifeline that you're doing for seniors, I know that we've always done something special for, hoping to get kids across the stage. So is this just a compilation of some new things and old things?
For the last couple of years, we've done Saturday school.
Okay.
We've done it later in May.
Yeah.
We just decided this year we're gonna move it up a little bit, do it a little bit earlier, so it's not so rushed and crammed in at the end of the year.
Okay.
And we thought if we did it during the school day, during academic lab, we could utilize our literacy and math interventionists. They could be there to
Right.
help the students, and we give them Success Academy, they're also there during Success Academy, and so are we.
Right.
And it also gives them more time. So we gave them from April 1st to May 24th to get it done. So they know that, they understand that it has to be done in that time frame.
Cool.
And hopefully we'll keep them on track to stay in school for the fourth quarter pass.
Any other questions for? Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, now
Moving
that-
on.
You know that drawer in your kitchen that has the ball of twine and some scissors and a screwdriver and a 9-volt battery? Plastic.
Mr. Chief.
That's kind of this category here. They kind of threw a bunch of stuff that doesn't necessarily go together into a category. It's kind of an oddball category, so for some reason I was chosen to lead off with it. So, you can click, you have one job to do.
Okay,
There you go.
very good, Mr. Chief. He loves you, Donna.
So this category exceeds expectations, attendance, and suspension. So we were in that 5-star category because of our overall score of the combined points. So to get 5 stars in those categories, which are all 4 points apiece, or a 3-point scale, I'm sorry, you have to earn between 12 and 15 points. So last year we had 4 points for exceeding the standard in math and ELA. We got a 2 out of the 3 that we could have earned there. We got 2 points for student attendance, which again is in the middle group there. We're going to go over all those. And 3 points for teacher attendance, which is the highest score you could get, and 3 points for out-of-school suspensions. So that earned us that 12 points. So suspension rate first. Out-of-school suspensions, they don't solve a lot of things. Kids do not get an education during that time. It doesn't repair any harm that happened in the school in terms of relationships between people that might have been harmed that caused that to happen outside of school. Doesn't help you repair the community at all as well. So there's been a push from the state and from kind of progressive educators to say being suspended out of school isn't going to accomplish a lot of things. So there's a push that we started here as well as administrators and teachers to go more towards restorative practices and to keep the kids in school when they do things wrong. Now, like maybe in school suspension time where they need to be in a place where they kind of focus on what they did wrong, get work done, get work sent down to them. But out of school suspension is not something that ideally we're going to support as a school. Last year, we suspended 4.9 students per 100 students. You have to be under 5.0 in order to turn that highest score. Our deans do a great job of working with students and helping them to learn how to not continue to do the same mistakes over and over again. Our administrators work really hard. Our teachers do a great job of informing us about things so that we can act on them and keep small problems small before they get big. It's such a community effort as a school, and all of us working together really help keep that number where it is right now. There's only 3 schools in the state that are in that kind of category right now at 2.8. So we're doing a really good job of keeping kids in school and restoring relationships and rebuilding the community when things go wrong. So again, some of the things we do, we started practice, and we also started this year, again, through Ochre Hour, a number of special ed teachers and other teachers got together to talk about how can we have an in-school mental health clinic program to kind of help kids who struggle with mental health issues and also substance abuse issues. So we developed this, we partnered with a group, 7 Challenges, and they are now starting to meet with kids who have substance abuse problems and other mental health issues, and that's starting to gain some traction and grow. And I think that's going to help, because a lot of those things are driven by those challenges that kids have in terms of things that are going to get you suspended out of school.
And in some cases, for consequence, will lessen it if a student signs on to go to some kind of counseling. So rather than, a 5-day in-school suspension, they're going to have a 2-day and sign on to meet with a counselor weekly.
Or they can meet during that.
Or they can meet during their in-school suspension time, so that at least we're trying to help them get the help they need. In the in-school suspension, do they have work to do? So they actually do their
They're required
schoolwork?
when they come in, if they have a phone or any kind of a device, they turn that in, they have their Chromebooks. Teachers have already been informed that this is going on, and they
they've
get
assigned work.
set down. Kids are working the whole time that they're there. That's kind of the purpose of that time, is to keep them working and making progress. Occasionally, you'll hear from a student who's been falling behind, who goes to ALC for something that they did wrong, and they'll come back and say, I get so much work done there, it's amazing. I was kind of caught up in my English class.
I might have to go.
So sometimes it's kind of an oddball thing, but it keeps them in one place, and then they're all there.
Keep them focused.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And Mr. Mercer does a tremendous job down there. Exceeds expectations on state assessment. So think of that 4-point scale. So the 3 meaning they met the standard, which is something that we're always trying to do. Students that exceed the standard, that get the 4, that's one of the categories that's in this category. So last year, in order to get the 3 points here in any of those categories, you have to have 10% or more of your kids exceeding the standard. Last year, 8.8% of our students exceeded expectations in ELA and 5.3 in math. We had a great presentation already about what we're doing. Those are the things that we're trying to do. As Chuck said, you're trying to get your 2s to 3s, you're trying to get your 3s to 4s. So all of those things that we're doing to support kids to reach that standard, we're doing the same thing with our best kids to get them from that 3 to the 4. Sometimes that's 3 or 4 questions difference. So maybe understanding how to take that test, maybe more practice, maybe the math club, the things that we're doing, I think we're going to see that jump. That's going to happen. I really honestly believe that. So those would give us an extra point in each of those categories.
That's me. Okay. So this is another area that we're being rated. Everyone around the state is actually being held accountable for this. It's made the newspaper this year, especially in Providence. We did receive the highest rating in this category. And by absent, it is not just for illness. It's anytime a teacher is not in front of kids. So if it's a professional development opportunity that we're sending teachers to, we're actually taking a hit on that. So we want to be conscious of how many times the teacher is out of the classroom, because when they're out, the kids aren't learning. So just to show you, we did a comparison from last year, 2017-18 year, to this current school year, 18-19 school year. And our absenteeism with teachers is, you can see, a lot lower. We are doing a lot of work to, really, this was our big focus this year. We started off the year talking about collaboration, inspiration, and appreciation for teachers, really thinking about what has been missing in the building maybe, and what could we really work on and kind of change the vibe a little bit. And so we started off this year we started with this Okra Pride Forum. That's a way that teachers can go on, kids can actually go on it as well. It's on our Aspen homepage, and they can send a nice message to a teacher to say thank you, you're appreciated. It goes through an email. Tim set it up. I don't know how he set it up, but it's set up, and you just click on the name of the teacher you want to send it to, you write them a message, and it appears in their email. And it's remarkable. We've had about 400 and something comments on it. We actually, we have a spreadsheet, Tim and I actually have it. We can see the comments, but I mean, we don't really stalk them or anything and read it too closely, but it is really nice to see some of the things people saying to each other, and it encourages someone when they receive it to send it on to somebody else. So it's been, it's just been nice, and when I receive one, it's like it makes your day. We've really done, I think, a really good job of promoting Twitter in our building and trying to inspire teachers. So teachers inspiring other teachers, like, this is what I'm doing in my classroom, I'm going to tweet it out, it's going to get retweeted, everyone's going to see it. People are really proud of what they're doing, and when they're seeing other people succeed, I think it just really inspires them to try some of the things that some people are trying. We've done a lot around professional development this year, as we have in past years as well. We put together this year a faculty cheer team. And sounds ridiculous, but it was really, really fun. So they've performed, the cheer team has performed twice so far. We'll do another game and have the cheerleaders back out there.
You gotta post a video.
Popularity.
Is there a video anywhere we can watch?
On Twitter.
On Twitter, so follow us on Twitter.
I can't keep up with you guys on Twitter.
I can't
I go
keep
from
up
one
with
to the
Twitter.
other, and I just go, oh
It's
my
so easy
God.
because everybody
I
has
know.
their own account, so it's just
I know.
retweet.
I know.
I hardly ever just tweet.
Okra
Yeah.
Pride hashtag will get you there.
No, I know,
And if you go to the hashtag,
I like a lot of
you'll
stuff,
see all
yeah.
of the things that we've been doing, and it's awesome, all in one spot. Very cool.
Yeah.
Twitter.
We do a lot of faculty events outside of school. Our teachers, we're colleagues at work, but we're friends outside of work as well. This is the best group of people ever to work with. We changed our lunch schedule this year to provide opportunities for departments to collaborate with each other. So we now send kids to lunch by content area. So if you have foreign language, you go on a first lunch. It wasn't a very popular decision. People had eaten the same lunches for 25 years, and it was like, what? Wait, you want me to eat at 10:30 now? That can't happen. And yes, it will, and it does. We call it brunch in the world language department. They're having brunch now instead of lunch. They're fine. They took a little while, but they're fine. But it does allow for those conversations to occur over lunch about what's going on in your classroom.
That's cool.
So that we've put together Okra Hour, which is one of our early release days each month. So one of our early release days is common planning within departments. The other is teachers can select projects that they're passionate about, things that they really want to work on, and decide ways that they can give back to the school, the community. And we've seen tons of projects come out of this, and teachers really feeling very satisfied at work, I think, and valued and appreciated. We've always done teacher appreciation games with our sports teams, and so we've continued to do that as well this year. And at every faculty meeting, we try to do some kind of acknowledgement. We do always go back to the collaboration, inspiration, and appreciation, and we do giveaways. We recognize attendance, all sorts of things, but always to make sure that we're acknowledging great things that have happened. So student absenteeism is an area that we know we really need to focus on. So here is where we received 2 points. This is students who are chronically absent Right now, for last year, we were at 17.8% of our students were chronically absent. That means they are absent more than 10% of the days that school's in session. And so, in spite of lots of efforts, we have an attendance review committee that meets monthly to look at attendance. We do home visits to students, especially students that we've identified being out several days, more than 5 days in a row. We send letters home. We divide up groups of students and make phone calls home we're in teams of teachers, and we pair up with guidance counselors. We split up a list. We call home, what's going on, how can we help, what is preventing him or her from coming to school.
It's also like the teacher will know that any absence for any reason by any student counts as an absence. So if the student is hospitalized, if they're institutionalized, if there's
This
long-term
is
illness.
excused and unexcused altogether.
Altogether.
They don't differentiate in the state. So if someone is terminally ill or they're going
Really
through
sick,
some kind
yeah.
of treatment, they're still showing up on this
Wow.
list. So, I already said that it's 10% or more days. So currently, we just ran our attendance. We're at 17.7%. We are a little worried about the number because we haven't hit spring, and we know traditionally that we have more students absent in the spring than any point in the year. So we are getting nervous. We are very worried that we could possibly go above the 20% and dip to lose a point in this area. And so again, what we don't want to do is be working on building up these points in all these other areas, and something like attendance is going to drag us down. We also feel that if we can get kids to be in school, they're going to be in front of instructors. They're going to learn these things. We're doing all this work with SAT prep, but if we do not have kids in front of a math teacher or an ELA teacher, it is hard to raise those scores. So we really do want to put a heavy focus on absenteeism for students.
Wow.
So we recognize the connection between student absenteeism and student engagement in the classroom. So we believe we have really talented and devoted faculty, and they show up every day dedicated to providing quality education, and we're really focused on engaging our students in the classroom. And our school administrative staff, as well as the leadership team and even our faculty, have provided a lot of professional development to offer assistance to our faculty members on ways that they can continue to improve their practice to engage students in the classroom. This slide offers a lot of live links that you can go on. This is just a sample of all of the, a sample of the professional development that we've offered both last school year as well as this school year. Oops, sorry. Oops. All right, well, that's okay. Brooke was just clicking on, okay, the PD board. The PD board is probably one of the most comprehensive, if you want to take a look at that link. And also, there's been quite a bit of talk about Okinawa, which is our big initiative this year, but we have some really engaging projects that have come out of Okinawa, and it'd probably be worth your while to take a peek at some of them. And you said that you follow our Twitter feed, so I'm sure you can see that we're really trying our best and really putting our best foot forward to engage the students in the classroom.
So one of the links that was just recently opened for the PD board is if you go back to the PD board for 1 second, it follows our evaluation tool. So each category helps support teachers just to become better educators all together. And each one of the curriculum coordinators has put in content-specific tools to help our teachers. So I think Brooke had just clicked on my department, the World Language Department. And if you scroll through here, there are a variety of different links and resources, and a lot of them have to do with how to better engage students in the world language classroom. And as ELA has done the same, and each department has sort of their own area. So this is a nice tool that teachers always have at their access and can go back and forth to. And do you want to go to the next slide? And in preparation for our upcoming NEAS visit, NEAS has made a suggestion that we reconvene a school improvement team. It's been many years since we've had a formal school improvement team. So we have sort of identified 5 different needs, which we've developed subcommittees to address these. And if you take a second to go through some of these, you can see that all of these subcommittees in some way or another help to support our students.
help to try to keep them in school, to engage them, and to, to help students with positive behavioral support, with multi-tiered support for some struggling learners. We're trying to work, Julie and Tim are chairing a committee on grading and revision practices. We have, they're really doing some work to investigate the continuity or lack thereof throughout the staff, to try to make sure that we're all on the same board and how we're allowing students and encourage students to revise. And Lisa and I had chaired an advanced placement support, and Shori, sorry, and Shori for sure. In advanced placement support, we had a night that we opened to the community last Tuesday night, and we had a really, really great showing of parents and students coming to learn about all the many AP programs that we're offering now in the school, because just in the past year, I mean, went from 8 to 16 programs. So we felt that it was needed that a lot of the students were, number one, encouraged to take the class, but also that they understood the requirement of the class, especially presence, being in school and attendance, being in school and being in front of the teacher, and really making sure that they're there every day to learn the material.
Thank you. So, also to encourage attendance, we've really been looking at, as part of the school improvement team, redesigning our advisory program. And it is difficult because it's contractual. So we have worked a little bit with Kelly to try some pilot programs this year and try to get kids to connect to things in school, like what brings the kid to school. We've put in things like yoga, boxing, knitting. We have our gym mentor program. We added a GSA, a Gay Straight Alliance this year. We have the Unified Oakers that are meeting during some advisory times. And we've done school-wide assemblies this year, like the unified games that they were talking about. Whole school, we've never brought the whole school down for things like this. And it just gives kids a way to feel connected to their school. Kids who can't stay after school for events, who have never been able to be at a game at their school. Like it is a really good feeling to have the whole school there. We did a school-wide, we do the dance competition every year for Spirit Week. We actually did it during advisory this year so that more kids could participate in it because it wasn't after school, and everyone in the building then could see, the spirit and the camaraderie. So it's been awesome, pep rallies and whatnot. So we plan on continuing with that, and in order for kids to be going to boxing and yoga, they have to meet certain attendance criteria and some criteria with their grades too. And these are really a lot of our at-risk kids, and so this has been just an awesome program for them. And I know that they've been down boxing, and I see them afterwards going to the class, they are sweating, and they're like, that was so hard today. But they're doing an awesome job. And really just working on creating a more positive culture. We started off this summer just renovating our bathrooms for kids. I mean, just a little bit of paint. We had teachers come in over the summer to do this for the kids, and especially the girls have really, really treated their bathrooms so much differently than in the past. It just seems to be, they seem to be showing so much more respect because it's a nicer space for them. We've been trying to do things to get kids excited at lunch, music at lunch. Oh my gosh, it is, I saw us on Twitter and we posted some stuff. You see the kids singing their brains out at lunch, or photo booths at lunch for different, whatever the events are. So lots of things, these new clubs. I'm glad Unified Oakers presented tonight so you could see that how that has transformed school culture. Again, that was out of our Oprah Hour. That was a project that was selected by Chris Hopkins. Just lots of different things. We just finished our Spirit Week. It's probably our best attendance of the year that week. Just so much there. There are links in there you can follow along there. But
this week's World Language Week.
Yep, and this week, oh my gosh, World Language Week. If you follow us on Twitter with that, you're seeing all of everything. It's crazy. I couldn't find you guys, so you're all in different rooms. We also, to encourage kids with attendance, added in a senior privilege this year. So if your star is on the road to the Ryan, I've been checking your attendance and your grades to see if you qualify for this. And so we have kids right now, we've given them yellow lanyards to wear. They are allowed to, these are kids who are done with their graduation requirements. Their grades are all above 75. Their attendance is below the 5% mark. and they can't have any significant conduct referrals. And so we are resetting it quarterly. So if you didn't make it for the current quarter, you do have an opportunity to qualify for the fourth quarter. And so we're going to continue with that so that kids have something to look forward to and strive for and hopefully come into school. So that's been really great. I mean, we couldn't give them any crazy privileges, but the fact that they can put the lanyard on and walk around, it's kind of cute to see them. Owen Ross has not taken his lanyard off.
So I'm Shelley Kelly, I'm at the high school, coordinator of special ed there, but the student supports that we have listed here are for all students. It's not just students with IEPs. And so one of the first things we mentioned a little bit previously was about the 7 Challenge program. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that to you today. That is actually born out of the Oprah Hour. And it really has been something I've been thinking about since I started at Coventry High School. I worked in this previously that we had a school-based mental health clinic. And it just so happened that Craig Levis came to me and Brad at the very beginning of the year and said, he was talking to TCAP and there was a grant funding 7 challenges to do drug and alcohol counseling and substance abuse counseling in a school setting. So it kind of all just worked out together. And so we've been working with 7 challenges. We have a counselor in our building right now. We have about 11 students. It's been used by administration as Brooke had said, if a student has been found to be, one student was found to be vaping 4 times. Rather than some discipline, they're able to have them engage in some substance abuse counseling that's embedded and proven to be research-based, proven to be effective. We did go out to Providence Public Schools. We met with their director of social emotional learning. So something that not every district has, but a school district as big as Providence, they have 22 school-based mental health clinics. So we met with them to look at what's the best practice. How do you integrate an outside agency into a school system? So we spent some time there, and we're really working to create more. Right now, we have one other counselor who's coming in to the building. So we're going to have 1.5. She's there half-time and half-time at the middle school. Right now, they're focused on substance abuse, but we are working to get a licensed mental health clinician also to be on board. It's a slow process, to integrate. We've been taking it very slowly in terms of having an outside individual. They're not used to a school system. I know something as simple as saying, okay, what's this rotating schedule of 84 minutes is really hard for someone who's not in there trying to figure out how to get kids and when to see them. But I do see that growing, and right now he has 11 students that he is currently servicing, and we're hoping to see that grow. Obviously, that has a lot to do with attendance. It has a lot to do with what's stopping students from wanting to come to school. And, over the course of time, we have found that it's very difficult for these individuals to get access to these kinds of supports outside of school. So in addition to that, we have added an additional planning center this year. I don't know if you're familiar, the planning center model really is a classroom space with a special education teacher where we have students who are identified with significant social and emotional needs, and it gives them kind of a safe space to be. We've added an additional one. We've had over 500 check-ins to planning center this year for students. And that is, up through the 3rd quarter. Those check-ins could be for a short amount of time or for a block of time, but those check-ins are saying that this student is finding a space to go where they feel they're in a safe space with a trusted adult who can continue to help them engage in their academic curriculum rather than being home. So I see that as an absolute benefit for them. And one of the things that we do a lot is we have a lot of students who are hospitalized for various reasons, mental health reasons. We get a phone call guidance. The student is in the hospital, they're set to be released on such and such a day. Some of those students will integrate very easily right back into the school system. Some students need a lot more planning. We actually go out to the hospital. We sit down with the clinicians there, and we do a lot of transition planning for them to come back into the school building. And most often, they're going into the planning center. Another support, I missed this. The goal to create the school-based mental health clinic with CCAP, if you click on that, you'll have that later in the flow chart for the ultimate goal of how that could work. Another way we try to engage students in school is to increase, why are we here? What are we doing? There's some of our students that are disengaged. They don't see the purpose. We work very closely with West Bay Collaborative and the Office of Rehabilitation Services, and they do what's called a CREAS. It's basically a vocational assessment where they get assessed and they look at what's your aptitude, what's your interest, they align that with careers and goals and go out on job sites. And the students actually have the opportunity, if it goes well, for summer employment. And that really helps to engage those students and give them a sense of purpose while they're in school.
So just to kind of piggyback on that, Try Employment is something that we started new this year, first time we did it, and we've had huge success. It is a collaboration between Coventry High School, the Office of Rehabilitation Services, and the West Bay Collaborative, and essentially it's providing students with workshops, and then they're getting hooked up into paid internships. So we have, you know, obviously the cohort of kids that we picked this year, they are the disengaged kids, the unmotivated kids. So they're out, we have students that are interning at Dave's Market, we have S&T Hardware right in town, Riverview Nursing Home, 2 of the auto shops in town, we have Coventry Lumber, so they're in various settings. And I mean, we were handing out paychecks last week. I mean, I'm talking $500, $600. I mean, these kids are making money. It's been awesome. So we are definitely excited to continue this. Again, we're just wrapping it up now, but we'll definitely be collaborating with them to continue this and obviously expand it and try to reach out to the students that are disengaged and just provide them an opportunity and a motivation to come to school. So that's been awesome. Some other supports in regard to Learning Lab, that's a little bit similar to, you know, the Planning Center. So this is a resource where we have a really good opportunity to be creative for the kids that aren't coming to school. So this looks different for every single student. So Learning Lab, again, it's housed with a special education teacher, 2 teacher assistants. We also have a sensory space that they can go to regulate, but we might have a student that goes there for 1 block. We may have a student that goes there for check-ins and check-outs. We may have a student that goes there and just accesses it as needed throughout the day. Again, I pulled the data today, just 3rd quarter, kids that are going there on their unassigned period, it was like over 500 entries. So the need is there. You know, the good thing is just thinking about, you know, a meeting I was at recently, it was a girl who was struggling, she wasn't coming to school, and we have meetings, obviously the IEP team meets, we have the players around the table, but I'm not talking 1 meeting. I mean, for 1 student, we're probably on meeting number 9 just for this year. Coming back to the table, we've tried A through Z, it's still not working. So, you know, oftentimes we're doing things like modified schedules, modified days. The meeting I was at just recently, it was baby steps as little as the goal is to come to school for 1 hour, just 1 hour. And unfortunately, the student wasn't even there at the meeting, but we do home visits. So after this 9th meeting with just 1 particular student, then the social worker is going out to the house with the teacher to then present this plan to the student. So just a great opportunity to think outside of the box, be creative. Obviously, these kiddos, lunch is you know, a place that they're uncomfortable, so we do provide alternative options for them in a smaller environment to take lunch as well. I talked about, obviously, the home visits and the modified schedule. Our amazing clinical staff, we have 2 psychologists and a social worker. They, depending on the year, depending on the kids' needs, they run various groups. We've had social skills groups that is currently running. We've had coping skills groups. Obviously, Brooke made mention of the gym mentor. Success Academy is after school from 2 to 4, but we also have structured study. That's a little bit different. It's run by a special education teacher. It's offered 3 days a week. So lots of amazing things going on. I mean, obviously, there's way more support than what's listed on here, but those are just to highlight some of them.
Thank you.
We're trying to wrap this up, you've been sitting there for a very long time, I feel like you need a movement break. So very quickly, I hope that you can see the efforts that are going on school-wide. We're really cognizant of where our weaknesses are, we're working very hard as a team to collaboratively work on them. You don't have kids in high school any longer. It is such a quick self-strategy. I'm sorry, James, you do. Thank you.
You don't.
Yeah.
Pending.
No.
Pending.
Yes.
They're not there yet.
Not yet.
But it's answer how. I have this, I have Twitter, I have this, I have that, I have Netflix, we're boring as hell, and we're extremely engaging. So it's really tough. So we're looking for other things. You've seen everything we do to motivate kids to get them in, to engage them, to be creative in our classrooms, do everything we can. We are lacking something that we had years ago. So we really did some digging into our data. We're always compared to three schools traditionally, Conagansett, Charahoe, and Cumberland. So we looked at how do we compare with them. We're nervous about our attendance. We are doing everything we can to get our scores up, but attendance is almost out of our control, and we know we're going to take a day next year. So we're at 17 and change now. By the time the spring comes, April, May, and June, kids are going to the beach. They're taking a day off. It's a beautiful day. We're going to be over 20%, which means we're going to lose a point. We're going to go down. We will not tolerate being a two-star school. We just won't. We're working too darn hard for it, and we hope you won't tolerate it. So we're trying to figure out what we can do. We did all the positive things to get kids to come to school. So we looked at different attendance policies. We looked at Conagansett that we're compared to, we looked at Charahoe that we're compared to, and we looked at Cumberland. Conagansett has a very wishy-washy, easy attendance policy just like us, and they're going to hit the 20% mark as well. Next slide, please. If you look at Charahoe and Cumberland, they have an attendance policy very similar to what we used to have. Hence, they're at 14%. They're not going to hit the 20%. So we left links to them, and what I'd really like you to focus on, we are all about rewarding kids, motivating kids. But you're all parents, and you know that sometimes there has to be a consequence. What we did when we took away our attendance policy is we stopped consequencing kids for not coming to school. So if you look at a school like Charahoe, we never went as far as they went. Charahoe, if you have more than 15 to 20 unexcused absences, you can't pass the course. You must repeat the course, because they're saying, if you're not in front of me, the teacher, you didn't learn anything. We never did that. We did 10-point deduction. Cumberland has a social suspension policy that we used to have. Like I think Mrs. Maycomer said, the week of Spirit Week, sub-best attended week, because you can't go to the evening events unless you're in school during the day. So we've done everything we can to make the kids stay as fun as possible in an academic setting, but we also need that consequence back. So we're asking your support for, the next slide, is a few things. We know it's working. So we're asking you to please, when you look at the budget, continue to support the existing programs we have. The interventionists are working. The mental health care is working. The stuff that we're doing is working. Where we know we need to, we have a tardy policy that we've worked on, and we didn't do a good job with that. So upon revision, we're looking at it. The kids, because we had to do away with the attendance policy that had a consequence, we put the consequences to the tardy, but our kids are much smarter than we are. They said, wait a minute, if I come in late, I'm going to get in trouble. If I don't come to school at all, I'm staying home. And that's no joke, that's what they're doing. So I had a girl in class today, my AP class, and my AP students, I could kill them, because when something's due, they don't come to school. They say, hey, Mom, Dad, I need to study for this test, won't you get a test today, whatever, and we're allowing that to happen. So, like I said, we have so many positive things in place. We have to be the parent that says, I say to my son, Caden, if you didn't go to school today, you're not playing outside today. We have to have that dual role of caring, compassion, loving, but toe the line that, no, you are responsible for your education as well. So we're going to bring another policy to you that is not the wishy-washy one we have now, where there's no consequence whatever. You can miss 100 days, and we're still going to bust our butt for you. We're still going to bust our butt for you, but you have to have a consequence too if you don't come to school, because we're going to be a two-star school if we don't do something about it. We're going to look at our social suspension policy. We've got to do it like we do at home with our own kids. If you don't come to school, you can't play. And that makes the kids come to school. There's no other way to say it. Makeup work policy, we as teachers need to do a better job. So it's really hard when you have 125 kids and you're grading 24/7 to regrade and regrade and regrade and regrade. We have to find a way to make it viable for the kids that they really can, where they're missing a concept, be able to revise something and make it available to the teacher where, okay, now I'm grading 250, I can't get those done in 2 nights. We're trying to find that balance, but in the kid favor. So we're working on that as well. And the changing criteria for National Honor Society, like I said, some of our biggest culprits for attendance are our brightest kids. But those are the kids that we need to move from a 3 to a 4, because they're bright enough to do it, but if they're not in school in front of that teacher, they're not going to move. So what we're looking to do is, right now with National Honor Society, you need to know that an excused absence, that's an automatic. If you have a doctor's note, God forbid you're in the hospital, something bad happens, that's not a penalty. But in National Honor Society, you can have 24 absences and still be a National Honor Society. That's unacceptable. We're not setting the tone for kids when we're supposed to be career and college ready.
you can't be late for your job all the time. You can't just blow off your job. So we realize that we're being too coddling, that we're not preparing even our best and brightest kids to be prepared for the workforce. So we want to look at a national honor policy, and you don't allow 24 absences, and you can still be on National Honor Society. It talks about leadership, it talks about dedication. So again, excused absences where something is wrong, absolutely. But those unexcused, I'm staying home because I'm tired, I want to go to the beach, I want to do this, we need to crack down and hold kids accountable for education. And the administrators and the school committee, kids and parents have to take some onus too. So we're trying to share that burden while making it as engaging and want to come to school as possible.
And I just say, in that area, I think that we would love to partner with you and really come up with some plans together. You know, we have some ideas of how we would like to protect the tardy policy or whatever. So, and we need to put our heads together too. And we're also thinking also of what other incentives too could we offer in these areas. But, you know, we know that this is not on you to do this. This is work that we have to do. But, you know, and hopefully present to you at some point a plan that we think would be very helpful and hopefully get your support on it. And then just finally, you've heard a lot of it tonight. 24 years of teaching, the heightened social emotional needs of our students I've never seen it so badly before, whether it's kids that are coming from homes that have drug and alcohol addiction, whether they're drug and alcohol addicted themselves, severe and true mental illness, where there are long-term hospitalizations, things that I never saw when I was a kid that I didn't have to deal with, that I didn't deal with earlier in my teaching career. We're really addressing these things, continuing with PBIS, positive behavior interventions and support. These things aren't working, so we just wanted to give you a very quick glimpse of where we are, let you know that we are working hard, things that you say and the comments that you make about, you know, where are they, what are they doing. We hear you. We are working hard. I don't think we present to you often enough what we're doing. Keep following our Twitters, keep asking us questions, keep inviting us back. We're going to beg for your support because, again, we work too hard to be a two, and we're not going to let it happen. We know you're not going to let it happen, so we're going to thank you in advance for all the support you're going to give us as we come forward, because we're going to take them.
How long is it going to take to send something to us about this?
We're working on it very hard as we speak. Again, we're trying to really look at the data, where we're falling short, where are our kids getting over on the rules? Because kids are smarter than we are. Like, we get the rule and figure our way around real quick. Where are we not encouraging kids enough? You know, again, on us, where can we be more supportive for kids? So you've seen all the stuff where we've fallen short, all the supports we're adding for kids. Now we're going to look at the other side. Now that they see all these motivations, where do we have to be the mom and dad and say, okay, but here's your part in this as well. So we're working as a team on this as we speak.
And some of it is like, I'm noticing as we go along, I never noticed the criteria for National Honor Society until right now. The letters are going out tomorrow, and I was horrified when I really read the guide. Wow, I've worked in this building forever. I did not realize you could possibly be absent 24 times and be inducted. That is not okay. We're not teaching.
And again, those are not legit absences. Those are just unexcused absences.
So my question is this: could this be prepared before the spring?
We're working today.
Okay.
God, it's not us, it's them.
It's them? Well, I'm looking at.
As soon as it gets here, we can figure it out, so.
I just want to say that I'm extremely happy that something is finally, because I agree with you that there has to be a consequence. You know, and I'll give you an example. My son, when he was in school, he had to wear your lanyard every day. Well, and if you didn't, you stayed after school. That happened to him once. After that, he's a graphic designer. He made his own, and he had extras. so if he lost it, but the fact is that there was a consequence, and he's like, oh, you know, I'm not going to remember it, so I'm going to make extras.
We are the parents.
That's right.
You have to have the love, and you have to toe the line. So when they're not here, we are the parents. Just like I said at home, my son would never be allowed to go play when he stayed home.
Yeah, mine either.
You know, so, but you're going to have the good part. You're sick, I need to take care of you, I need to help you. But when you're not sick, here's a consequence. And by the way, we're going to offer this to you because I want you to come to school. So again, it's striking that balance. We're doing the best that we can with right now.
I think that it's.
But we can't fall for two. That's the bottom line. We're not going to be Coventry High School. It's going to be two.
No, I don't blame you. And I wouldn't want to be on the school committee with.
Yeah, you can't give us a banner that has 2 stars on
No.
it. I thought that banner earlier, I'm like, really,
Well, Question about criteria for honor societies. I don't recall seeing one, and again, the book is this thick, so it
Yeah.
could be in there. I don't think school committee sets the policy for the criteria.
No, we
Okay,
don't. We don't.
great,
Yeah, no, we don't. No, the Rhode Island.
Exactly.
fantastic, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
But
can.
it's again, like something I've noticed, you can have 12 unexcused absences. Your parent could write you 12 notes. Well, that means, so those are excused from your parent then, and then you can stay home an additional 12. Because you can have those unexcused.
My daughter won't get 12 notes, that's all right.
Yeah, no, but you will.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, my kids.
And those are our threes that we could bring to a fore.
Right.
Like, those are kids that really count. Like, so we do a lot of supports for kids who struggle. We also need to support. And if support looks like, holding kids accountable, we need to support some of these kids in the upper tiers too, who are kind of falling through the cracks. So,
Oh, yeah.
And I think, well, I was just gonna say that, but that is something we can definitely support you on, even if we write a letter of support and try to advocate with you in partnership. I think that's something for the Honor Society to consider. It's not just teachers.
they are.
Oh, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
We all are on the same page. I know we're too lenient, so everybody's seeing that. Again, and when you look at everybody else, I think there was a time years ago where it's like, oh, you guys are too tough. Everybody's seeing we're too lenient now. So the accountability piece has fallen. We're gonna pick it back up.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact too that you presented the interventions and some of the things you are doing, because things have changed since I was in CHS, and we didn't have that support. And we actually had a tougher policy.
You did box during school day?
No, I didn't do yoga either. But the fact that you have these strategies and these creative ways to help those students is all the more reason now that we can go back to something that says we need to hold you accountable, because we're giving you every opportunity to do this. And you have to kind of pull yourself up, but we're gonna throw you a lifeline whenever we can. So I 100% support you
And
in
those
this effort.
opportunities we have now because of technology, but on the flip side, kids can easily stay home and
Because of
try to keep
technology.
up with work because of technology. It's a double-edged sword,
Yeah.
But I think that
And
if
it has
you,
to be a balance. We have to have both.
if you get this attendance piece, you're gonna see your scores go up automatically.
100%.
Because if you get
100%.
them in front of the teachers,
Yeah.
they've gotta do better.
I feel like we've done a good job in changing some things that are completely in our control. We have the right people working. I mean, I've never worked, these people work so hard.
This was an excellent presentation, all of it. It really was. Thank you.
I have one more thing to say.
I think there's probably
It
more
was
than
worth it.
one
It
more
was
thing to
worth
say.
Before we close, I have one more thing to say.
Oh, we have more than one.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have one.
I wanna talk too.
Okay.
I can say something.
I'm gonna talk about 2009, when my son was a senior at the high school, and he had the car, we gave him a car, and it was his friend's birthday, and he drove to Boston, and he looked out the window and he said, "Bye, Mrs. Ferguson, bye." And you know what? It was the best thing that happened to him, and he says it now, at age 28. He works for the city council in Providence. He's a policymaker. And what you did for him, Mrs. Ferguson, was great, because he remembers it to this day, and you held him accountable. You held him accountable. Yeah, he had to graduate in the summer, but it was the best thing that could have happened to him, and I thank you. And it was.
You weren't thanking me then, David.
No, I wasn't. No, not then. Not then.
I can't imagine
Not
thanking you then.
Take it 10 years later. Take it 10 years later, Mrs. Ferguson. Because at the long term, it really did wonders for him. And he knows what it is to be accountable now. And that's due to you and Mr. Smith, and that's what we do. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, yes, whatever you guys do, I'm in favor of it. Okay?
Any other questions before I make a comment?
Yeah. To make a
Sure,
comment.
go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
what he meant
go
to
ahead.
say is after we see the data. Yeah.
All right.
Then he'll be in favor, right,
Yeah,
Dave?
Yes, that's right. That's
Thanks.
right, Chris. That's right, James. Yes.
So Kathy's always selfless, so she's going to let me speak, but I just wanted to thank you for the presentation. It's inspiring to hear so many good things going on, and this is what happens when you have good leadership. But what I'm more encouraged by is that, again, kind of like some of the presentations we've heard tonight, a lot of this is starting at the building level and working up. You're taking your own initiatives. You don't have to do some of this. And I asked the last meeting, what impact does this rating have? You know, I'm interested in, beyond the stars on a wall is the student outcomes. And what it's clearly doing, if nothing else, is kind of drawing your attention to weaknesses and areas. You're acknowledging that and you're moving forward and you're becoming creative, which is, quite honestly, I felt has been lacking for some time. So the fact that you're thinking outside the box, creating solutions, I applaud you and I appreciate that, and I hope you'll continue that. And I'll do whatever I can in this capacity to support your efforts, including what was presented tonight. And you presented solutions. Identify the problems, bring them up, and it's our job to work with you as a team to help you forward with those solutions. So thank you.
Thank you.
And finally,
There you go.
I just, again, want to thank you. I feel excitement. I feel something different going on. I think it's palpable, and I've been here a long time, and so I'm really hopeful that, I think you guys have always worked hard, but I feel something else going on too. Sort of loving relationships maybe, this sort of building of friendship and trust amongst yourselves, and with a feeling that you're going to reach a goal. And so that's really very good to see. I think you're on the right track, and I think the fact that you're friends as well as colleagues, and you love the kids that are up at the high school, I think that really does make a difference, and it's going to really make a difference for our kids as well as for all of you as well. I feel that sort of excitement from you, and this need to not let you be a 2, for example. So I'm really, this was wonderful to actually see some of the interventions that you've put in place. It's really very awe-inspiring on my part to see this from you guys. And so keep up the great work, and I think you're on the right track, and I think we will do better. And we might have a slip on the attendance maybe this year, but you know what, we'll come back because I think you have a plan in place, and we're certainly ready to look at other things and support you with a new attendance policy. So, yeah, no problem. Yep.
Madam Chair.
Yep.
I'd like to commend the leadership team. I know the work that you've done this year. I've got to say, from a personal perspective, it's been a lot of fun to watch. There does seem to be a sense of renewed energy that I haven't felt before. So, congratulations. You know, you're taking risks that you hadn't taken before, and it can be a little scary sometimes, but those are great models for kids. So I've enjoyed what I've seen happening this year, and I think great things are to come for Coventry High School. Thank you.
Yeah, my last thing is I really love that idea of getting all the kids together for school assemblies and doing something and celebrating the kids in front of everyone. That builds so much. I can believe that the kids must love that. And it builds everybody. It builds all the kids. It builds all the faculty. So I'm really encouraged by that, and I think that's a great, great idea that you've developed, as well as all the rest of it. So many things that I really love.
You even have Mr. Fagnola shaking his head.
So, no, this was very, I mean, it's getting late, and you kept us all right there.
It was very engaging.
Engaging.
It really
You
was.
engaged us as well as your students.
Very engaging.
I think we have some parents maybe, or maybe other people would like to say something. So if you do have a comment, please come forward and use the microphone. I know you might not want to, but please, I'm sure whatever you have to say is very worthwhile. And then just identify yourself. We're filming our meetings now, and so if you don't speak and put the microphone on, because if you don't, then the folks at home won't be able to hear you.
Hi, I'm the mom of a freshman at Coventry High School, and I am very encouraged by what I'm hearing here today. I am especially encouraged by how much I'm hearing of you actually maximizing the school day. So being able to give them those credit, accepting their study and their quiet rooms and their one-to-one attention. I think that as you go forward, I liked the idea of a school improvement team. However, I have a 26-year-old son who has multiple disabilities and has also graduated from your school, and those meetings were taking place at 2 o'clock, and I can't get out of work until 4:30 or 5. So if you're looking at a family engagement kind of a aspect to your school improvement team, I would suggest that you look at the hours that it is, and if you can't have every meeting in the evening time, maybe at least once a quarter, be able for the parents that have to work full-time, be able to go and add their piece to those things too. But I think hearing you talk about the social emotional state of our children today and how much they're being influenced by a lot of media and things that, you know, even as a parent that I'm constantly, you know, my son knows, give me a phone, open it up, I want to see where you've been, you know, even being as engaged as we are and watching out for him. They're, like you said, they're very smart. They're smarter than us. So things go away in 24 hours, and I might not have checked his phone that time. So being able to understand that they're coming from a completely different stance of social emotional well-being, I think keeping that in the forefront of all of the initiatives that you're planning going forward will be really beneficial to the families, because it is a different time and they're getting a lot of influences from a lot of different places. So I'm glad that we have that, and I would really love to see a social suspension of some sort if there aren't grades and attendance. So I would definitely be in support for that. So thank you.
Excuse me, I only know you as Joey's mom.
Tammy Russo. Tammy Russo.
Thank you
Yeah.
for our minutes. Thank you, Tammy. Mrs. Russo. Anyone else?
My name is Jennifer Marzalek. I have 2 children in the school system. I have Riley in 10th grade and my son Jack is in 6th. They've come up right through preschool when it was called Little Oakers, so they were with you. My husband and I were Coventry students as well. The presentation tonight was amazing. I learned a lot, and it has come a lot since when we were in school, for sure. My main concern for being and suggesting to be here tonight was my son Riley. He had expressed an interest in some advanced placement classes for next year that were possibly not going to be run because of lack of interest in the class, low attendance in the class, funding for not enough students in the class. I had listened to the presentation, and it's wonderful. You're adding from 8 to 16 or 8 to 18 AP classes, which is great. But if we get rid of several of those, then that doesn't help much either. When we were looking at high schools for Riley, we had considered Hendricken, Prow as options, and when we had looked at Coventry's curriculum, we're like, well, this includes all these courses, and he can get this education here too. As I spoke with Mrs. Maycumber last week, I believe a good student will do well in any environment that they can be challenged in. He's been challenged thus far very successfully. He's doing wonderful. He loves his classes. He loves his teachers. He's proud of his work, and you know, he needs certain classes to get where he needs to be in the next level of his life. One of those is AP Chemistry. So it's a fantastic class. It opens so many opportunities for these kids, and I understand if it's only 6 kids that want to take this class, But from what I'm understanding, historically, the past several years, this class has run with these numbers. And maybe it doesn't have the interest of biology or history or any of those other fabulous classes that he needs those too. But I think, you know, growing up in Coventry and trying to advocate for these students, that we have an obligation as a community to provide for all types of students. We need to support our lowest level students, our highest level students, and every student in between. So I'm just hoping that you as a committee take this into consideration, that even some of the highest secondary institutions out there that he's looking at will accept this class. And, you know, these students that are signed up for it, they want to learn. This is a class that they don't have to take, as well as a lot of the AP classes are, but they want to learn. And if they want to learn something, we can provide it for them. And, you know, so what if it's 6 and 7 students? I understand, again, the budget concerns, but a type of class like chemistry can't be taken, like you said, there was an AP environmental science, and that's a great option. And I'm so happy because to know that if he was to ever, any of the students were able to express an option like that, could be provided for them. But with a laboratory science, that is really hands-on. And, you know, to say to him,
We can't offer that
right,
online for them.
to say to him, you can go to URI and you can take the test and get those credits on your high school transcript. The GPA is not the issue that, you know, I'm as a parent, I'm concerned about his GPA, but I mean, he'll have a good GPA with or without this class. I just think if we can offer this to these students, that as educators, I mean, you did a wonderful presentation, you care so much about your students, and, you know, I want to see them succeed as well. You know, he has friends of all different levels, and to hear the supports that they're getting is great. I think the advanced placement support and the advisory time that you mentioned, that's a great option. The SAT prep, all wonderful, wonderful options. But I just think that getting rid of even the foreign language, the lower numbers in the different foreign language, I don't know which particular languages, but we have these classes now, and students are going to look at this coming. I know I'll be looking into this when my next child goes into the school system. You know, if this might happen, are we going to have to look elsewhere so he can get these supports? So I just hope you'll take that into consideration.
We
Thank
will.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else before we move on? Okay. We are on number 13, School Town Solar Power Generation Initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind if you guys leave. No, don't worry. I know you guys have to get up early. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have some really exciting stuff still coming up, but we understand.
And it'll be quick.
Just make sure you watch the final minutes of our meeting and, you know, online, and you'll get it all under your... See you guys later. Yeah, then go home and watch it. Thank you.
I'll be quick because poor Sarah's sitting there through the whole
I
thing.
know. Okay.
All right. Ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to bring this up quickly because I didn't want to operate in a vacuum because I know I've been here a short time. But I had a meeting with the superintendent. I have expressed an interest in, you know, obviously looking at the budget, going through the budget. There's two sides of the ledger, and one side is revenue. So I'm, you know, based on my experiences and my sort of background, offered to kind of facilitate a solar initiative, which I know the town has, and Sarah informed me, has done a little bit of legwork on in the past, and it got tabled. And but one of the things I'd like us to do is start looking at the Office of Energy Resources and some of their incentives, because as I looked at the budget, we spent about, correct me if I'm wrong, about $800,000 budgeted just for electric, and that's real money. And we're not getting energy efficiency out of a lot of our buildings because they're old buildings. So if we can reduce some of those expenses, that's money that we could be putting towards programs, and you know, again, it's real money. I have, in my professional capacity, I'm working on this, it just so happens, So I'm already coordinating with the Office of Energy Resources to look at their incentive programs. And what I provided in your packet is a basic example which Exeter West Greenwich just went out for. And it's not, people I think get hung up because they say, well, what about the condition of our roofs? Where do we put them? It's not quite as complicated as that. If you look at their proposal, I think it's 9 pages. And, you know, I pointed to page 8, and what really was the meat of their proposal was, we're not going to provide any upfront, there's no upfront cost. You'll pay for our consultant. Here's our energy uses. Give us highest and best offer for virtual and net metering to offset our energy costs. It's very simple. And then you, at the same time, you hire a technical consultant. That technical consultant reviews the other RFP to make sure you're getting the best incentive. And the best part is that technical consultant gets paid by the eventual vendor that gets selected. So it's no cost to the district. So I'm going to suggest that we invite the town in on that because I believe we're one town and that it's the right thing to do. But if they should choose not to, my recommendation would be to move forward on this initiative. So I wanted to keep you in the loop. Again, not operate in a vacuum. Hopefully you're in support of this and answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions. I don't know all that much about it, except that I would be grateful for more revenue in some way, shape, or
So would
form.
we all.
I know Tile.
As long as the town doesn't say, as long as we can be guaranteed that whatever we save, we put back into
put back
our
into- that's right.
budget.
Our cost.
And that's
You know.
definitely going to be part of the discussion.
Exactly. I mean, that's the only
and
way
whether
it
it gets
will
also
work.
into a special revenue fund for capital,
Okay.
anything, that's all going to be on the table and I think needs to be discussed.
It
as
has to
part
be
of
very
the
much discussed, yeah.
I know Tile Elementary, sorry, James.
No, go ahead.
Tile Elementary School is 100% electric.
Right.
So is Blackrock.
Yeah.
Which
So-
is a big
That
deal.
It's a big note.
That's a big deal.
It stuck out to me when I was reviewing the budget on how much we spend on electric, and it's phenomenal. And I just think about how much better use we'll be getting out of that money. So,
James.
How much would a project like this cost the district?
so as I said, really it doesn't cost us anything because the upfront cost, I will say, to the technical advisor is about $15,000 to $20,000 upfront. So you hire that person and then you get reimbursed after you select the proposal. Now, on the off chance you don't decide to move forward with the initiative, we're out that 15 to 20,000. But I think we can't afford not to do it. We'll recover that cost easily. And there's a couple incentive programs out there. There's additional incentives that just got released for brownfields, if we have any, but also carports, which is something because they're doubling the rate of return on carports. So that may be another thing we just look at. If we can pay for a roof out of this initiative. The other thing some programs are doing, I know I talked to Chris Kearns from OER, one of the school districts is having an online portal. So students can go in and look at the solar generation and bring that into their program as part of CTE and some of the programs. So I think it's an interesting endeavor and something that is worthy.
So there's no upfront equipment costs, that's interesting.
No.
What about maintenance costs? Is that part of the program, or once the installation is put in, will the district be responsible for any maintenance, repair?
Sure. So that's a good question because we don't want any more operating expenses, correct?
We don't want what happened at the annex, where they put a big solar installation on the roof, the inverter broke, and they couldn't afford to fix it.
Right. So this is why I'm choosing and recommending we go with Office Energy Resources, because they'll help us write the RFP, but they've also set it up in such a way that you either have a private vendor that comes in, they own the system, they own the maintenance, they own the decommissioning, the whole bit. If we should choose to own the panels, which I would not recommend, we could do that and try to recapture some of those incentives. But most districts, including the municipal side of the house, have opted to have third parties come in. And there's what they call, it gets a little complicated, but virtual net metering. So let's say we have a roof that isn't adequate. We could literally get solar energy credits from another community. And say we prefer to have brownfield sites and redevelopment sites because I know people prefer not to knock down trees and put up solar panels. But we can write that into the proposal. The solar is generated, let's say, down at URI. They just opened the field. We get those credits. So like the city of Warwick, where I work, we get our total energy offset from Kilvert Street near the airport. So it can work a variety of ways, but ultimately I think We have to be smart on the proposal.
We have to be very smart, because again, that was very similar to what they did at the annex.
Yeah.
And when the inverter broke, since they were no longer generating any electricity with the solar panels, it wasn't going back into the grid through the net metering agreement I believe they had, it started costing them money. So we just have to be very, I'm in favor of approaching.
Yeah, no, I
course.
think it's a fair
I work
statement.
for an
and
energy company, I wouldn't
even
recommend
recommend
that.
that.
As long as my company's not involved. So I can vote on it. But, yeah, we just have to be careful we don't fall into traps that other projects have run into. Interesting.
That's a fair statement, so.
Sounds good?
Sarah, do you have
Thank
any
you.
comment?
No, I mean, Mary and I spoke, about a week ago, we spoke, this afternoon as well. We have a meeting scheduled with Mr. Martin, Mr.
Mhm.
Lewis, so we can talk about that. A lot of the initiatives with the town started before I was
Right.
there, so Jason will be able to provide more context of what happened, but we clearly need to do something to move forward, so I think that anything is open for exploration with the proper constraints and the proper agreement with the town.
Right.
Written.
Yeah,
Exactly. Written.
thank you, I was just gonna
Yeah,
say.
exactly. So we know
Fine.
exactly where we are. All right. Any questions, from the public for
I'm a
Mr.
notary.
Murray or? No? Okay. I guess you're finally up.
I have no presentation, so we'll go relatively quickly through this unless there's questions. The major change in the budget, the only change in the budget, is we did drop in the current enrollment numbers for the state aid as of March 20th. And that ended up increasing our state aid by about $150,000. Most of this was due to a significant amount of work that happened even when we transitioned with our data people. Some items came out that we really needed to follow up on. So we did spend a lot of time, myself included, calling other school districts to make sure students that we had going to other districts were properly labeled. So all in all, our free and reduced lunch numbers did drop as we expected. It went down to about 1,333 from 1,438, I believe is what it was. But our overall enrollment went up. So all along, we had been showing 4,601. The number that came in was 4,635. So that added a little bit of an increase. And then, as we had talked about, that adjustment from the state
Right.
is coming in next year, and that's an extra 122 added in. So what I did, you'll see that we did drop the local appropriations down to 1,568,000 as an increase. It has been made clear that if the town goes to 4%, which we have advocated that they need to go 4%, my stance is that the community needs to be presented with the budget that is required to operate, and if the taxpayers vote that down, that's on them, but I can't in good conscience come forward with recommending anything less, and that's what I'll say at the public hearing and the financial town meeting and as we move forward with the town. But they have indicated that even at a 4% cap, the share that would come to us most likely is about 1.5 million. So we're about 68,000 over that right now. I still think that we need to move forward with this at this point in time. But just knowing that that was the reason that we made the decision to increase the state aid, not add back some of the additional positions added, and drop that local appropriation, because we know that that 1.5 is really going to kind of be that magic mark if they go to the 4%.
Right.
And again, this is just operations. We've already approved the capital request. The town is very well aware of the requirements that we have for the capital. We've had discussions about how we could get that funded for maybe the first year or two until some of those bonds start dropping off. So we'll just kind of work through that with the town as we go through. But I think this covers all of the principal requests. It leaves the staffing as it is right now. We have worked with CTE. I met with special ed today. So I do still anticipate some sliding of staff to meet needs where we think we can move. This TA is no longer needed in this particular area, but it is needed here. So I anticipate coming forward with some of those, but it all was a budget neutral compared to what we have right now.
Cool.
And that's all I have.
All right,
Unless
any
there's
questions?
I do have one, because I was at the council meeting the other night, and there's some confusion on the numbers of what we're asking for. So, I think it was Mr. LeBlanc who had come up and said the school's asking for 4 million or something like that, and I think what he was getting jumbled up a little bit is our capital with our operating. So just to be clear, our total request at this point is 1.5, or with capital, it is.
1.5 for operating, and now here's where it gets, we had come forward, this council had approved about $800,000 in capital requests. That's the approved amount that went over to the town.
Right.
The amount that was needed to meet our threshold was around $525,000. Then if you knock off that interest, that's cutting that number almost in half. But the request that came from the school committee was about $800,000 that went over to the town as the initial request.
Right.
So all in all, our total request
So we're
is
at
about $2
2.3.
million.
Yeah.
You know, if we requested the full 500,000, not taking into account the interest amount
And
that
that-
could be allocated.
That covers that 1.5% state aid match.
Exactly. So I will make sure that we're clear. It's a little bit jumbled the way that we've had to present it this year because we've had to make sure that we bring forward that capital request and it's not something that just gets approved and kind of brushed to the side. But when we go to the council, I'll make sure that I'm clear. This is what we've asked for operating. This is what the school committee has approved for capital, but this is what we truly need for capital in order to meet the threshold. Because there are slightly 3 different numbers that we're kind of working with right now. But nowhere did it ever get near $4 million, so I'm not sure where that came from.
I just want to make sure we're clear with the public because we're going to enter up another tough budget year with a potential 4% levy. And we know that there will be some pushback on that. And so I want to make sure that this year, everything is clearly conveyed to the public and laid out very concisely. So, and I know you'll do that, so.
Any other questions, James?
Related question to budget discussions. Are we at some point going to have a presentation for the audit?
Yeah, we can. So usually the auditors come to the town, but if you'd like them to come to the school committee, we can definitely do that.
Either they could come or I'd be, I don't know, it depends on what's in the audit. I'd be satisfied if you could present the
Yes,
findings.
that's fine.
If it's,
Absolutely.
unless there's something in there you're not comfortable with, okay.
I watched the audit. I watched that presentation. You probably want Sarah to give that.
I probably do.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
the
I watched
roll-up
that
would
also.
be nice to hear. And
It's a little dry.
yeah, I think we need to get to the core of the matters. So from your perspective, what are the cores on where we're coming to with that audit?
As part of my next, we can either do it as a separate agenda item, or I can roll it into my next report, but we'll carve out a section for that. Yeah,
That's a
we're
good
a much
point.
smaller beast than the town, so
Yeah.
we can break it down a little easier.
Good. Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Are we ready to move?
Yes.
Oh, and finally, I just wanted to thank you for that email with all the questions and answers. That was really great. Thank you.
It was.
You have the report?
Now that I'm finally getting my
No,
email.
we're on budget update. We have to do the motion.
I had so many problems with email.
Before we have to move on the operating budget.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so we need to move on the budget approval. So is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve fiscal year 2020 general funds operating budget in the amount of $73,856,698 with $47,528,589 coming from local appropriations.
I second the motion.
Any further questions or concerns from the committee? Seeing none, anything from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to the superintendent's report. Laurie?
Yeah, I just have a couple of things I'd like to report out for you. The adult ed program, you can see in your packet, we're currently offering 2 different programs, the PowerPro and the adult CNA. We will put together a committee to look at our adult ed program, get some input from the community about what needs and interests are, and we'll bring a proposal forward to school committee for approval to revamp our adult ed offerings and get more community involvement around this program. So there will be some changes coming forward to you in the future.
Cool.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any
I
questions
want
for Laurie?
to-
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish completely. Sorry.
I want to inform the committee that the Environthon competition is coming in May 17th, and our group is going to that statewide competition at URI. We have 2 teams going, so
Awesome.
that's really exciting. We know about the 10 winners for the Skills USA. We will bring those students forward to you so you can celebrate them. And I do want to tell you that we're in the process of writing a grant to RIDE for a 21st Century Community Learning Center. This is a really large grant for $350,000. It would provide some programming at our 3 title schools. We're working in collaboration with the Kent County YMCA. Most of the money typically has gone to the urban districts, but there is some push for RIDE to spread that wealth out of the urban. So we'll see what happens when we submit it, but it would be nice if we could secure these funds to provide some support for kids and families after school, summer, and during vacation breaks. I'll keep you updated.
Okay. Any further questions for Mrs. Andrews?
Not a question, just a statement. I had asked for the adult education thing to be put on the agenda. I noticed there was an ad in the reminder, and I said, you know, I'm unfamiliar with this, so I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to talk about it publicly, because it's not something I remember talking about too much in the past. And I think it's something that the community should really take advantage of.
I think we've tried to. There's been talk, but it never really got off the ground.
Well,
it had been a long time ago.
I know Mr. Levis has talked about expanding the program, but we seldom ever talk about the program that exists now. Right? It's only 2 course offerings, but hey, it's something we offer the community. We should be pushing that.
I'm glad you put it on the agenda because I'm new and I hadn't heard of it. So it's nice to actually know it's out there, and I'm not the only one here who hasn't really, didn't know it was out there, but I think it's a valuable asset to kind of bring
that forward.
Yeah,
we can even offer more courses.
Well, that's it.
It really is a valuable asset. It's something that we do need to grow. We're not particularly good, and we're not the only ones. School systems and districts in general are not particularly good about getting the message out to people. You know, talking about our successes and the things that are going really well, and the things that we have to offer for the community. So we have to get better at that. We know that. And this is an instance of that. We need to make sure that the word gets out to the public. These 2 classes are very successful and popular. So people are hearing about them, and they're getting filled up. So that's a good thing. It's finding out now what else is the community interested in, and where are the needs, and how can we help fulfill them?
Nice. Terrific.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Okay, anything for Mrs. Andrews from the public? Seeing none, then we can go to 16, which is my report, and the only thing I wanted to discuss is our reference number 10, which are, I just, started from the last person who did the report to the town council, the school department report, and I just went in order down the, and I believe, Donna, you said you had an issue with
it's
the
my
28th.
30th anniversary.
And
I'm going to be in Aruba.
Oh, come on.
I am not coming home for this.
Okay, so kind of the easiest way to do that is if maybe someone wants to switch above you or below you, like, so,
I can switch. That's fine.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay?
So
So
are we
I'm
talking
gonna-
the
That's
20?
2 days before my birthday.
So Luke is going to do October
27th,
28th, and Donna will do the 25th, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and, what? Yeah.
Very close to Thanksgiving.
Very close to Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I think my birthday's on Thanksgiving this year.
Oh, it is?
Oh.
So,
I think it is.
did everybody look at those dates and they were pretty good for most, we can always, as the time comes up, we always do, if someone has an issue.
Well, I got May 28th too. huh?
I will say what I say every time this comes up.
Yes.
As it's listed on the town council agenda as a school department report, I still believe the superintendent should at least do some of these. if not more. But that's my feeling, and.
So do you think we should call it something different on this? I mean,
They
we're the
call it
ones.
the school department.
Yes, because we asked them to call it that, because Ian was the one originally that said the school committee should have a report to the town council.
Well,
Which
it's not
shouldn't it be
because
on
of what it's called that I think
Oh,
the
okay.
superintendent
that's
should do
what I'm
it. I
wondering.
just think the superintendent should.
Oh, I thought it was
maybe
because of what it was
do them
called.
once in a while.
Oh.
Because again, he is our designated liaison to the town side.
Mhm.
And every opportunity he has to be before council to give positive news instead
Mhm,
of, heavy budget discussions, which
Right.
may not always be positive, I think is a good opportunity. But he's not here to retort, so maybe we table that.
Well, we could
discussion.
revisit it in this, we could revisit in the sense, are you saying you'd like him to be part of the mix?
Well, I can't get him to do them all, so maybe part of the mix, yeah.
We could put him in the rotation.
We should put him in the rotation.
I kind of feel the opposite, to be honest, because I feel like it's our opportunity as elected officials to correspond with the other elected officials
Yeah, I
in this
mean,
room.
Yeah, I'm perfectly
And,
fine with that too.
The superintendent, we put a lot on him already, and he's already corresponding on a daily basis, with the administration, so I'm sorry to push back, but I truly feel like this is
I
our
get pushed back
responsibility.
every time I bring this up, so it's all right.
Well, opinions vary, but, I do think that it's important that we get up and we're conveying that information, and they see different faces. They see the superintendent a lot, so that's my opinion.
Whoops.
Hey, probably what?
They probably only see him when,
I don't know if
during
they like
the,
seeing
when
my
he's
face
asking
too
for money.
often either, but.
Well,
hey,
and,
that's all right.
and to the point that some things are on his plate that aren't that fun and agreeable, where we maybe have a different, persona, and I think, having that helps in front of the community. And it gets exposure in front of the community for us to know that schools are out there and we have different faces, so.
I
So
do
there's
think
my
if you're
argument.
gonna change the format, that the conversation should continue at least while Mr. Levitt.
Oh, come on, we can make the decision without him.
So that he can voice
On
his
second thought.
opinion.
Actually, when we pick up a team facilitator meeting at work, we usually do, if there's somebody out.
That's the one, yeah, you're doing it.
You tell Craig he's
So-
gonna do all this.
I'm full of victims.
Oh, I bet, you're not there when you
Tell
volunteered.
Craig he's gonna do all the
He's probably in
meetings.
his hotel watching right
Yeah.
now.
He's probably
I'm
is.
getting a text.
Hi, Craig.
My cell phone is vibrating as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have no feeling one way or the other, except that I do agree with Luke in the sense that I think it does give us the opportunity to establish a relationship with the town council. And I think that's an important thing that we need to do. I think they already feel they have a relationship with administration and, the people that
And really,
run
the only
school.
relationship we have is at the
Town-
financial town meeting.
And or at budget hearing
And
meetings.
budget hearings, yeah.
So it kind of, I think, makes us a little bit more visible, and so I
As much as I
We're all
dislike doing them.
elected. You know what it is, we're all elected officials, and it's nice as an elected official of the school committee to be there to present to the
Yeah.
town council, because they're also elected officials.
Mhm.
And they like seeing us, they do, they like seeing us, they like hearing the reports that we give. Sometimes they don't, but most of the times they do.
I think
You think they like seeing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe
They're
not.
breathtaking.
I don't
As
know.
long as you stick to the script.
Scripts are all set. When
Anyway.
you deviate from the script, that's when you get into trouble.
True. All right,
Other than that, I had no issues with the dates.
all right.
We can change the name, though. I'm just
I
kidding.
know.
All right.
I was
Public
going down a
comment.
completely different road on that one. Oh, boy.
Okay.
Anything from the public on that agenda item? Seeing no comments, we go to,
Nobody stayed.
oh, all right.
Just very quickly, I looked at the school website, the town website, people have asked me, and I don't even know the answer. The calendar for the schools presenting to the town on the budget and that, there's no town financial meeting.
There is a town financial meeting. That's on the 12th.
Not there. It's-
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's the 8th, I believe, is the public hearing.
Did that go on the town website and the school website somewhere?
Yeah,
We had
sure.
an 18 night the other night, and a lot of parents asked, and we all kind of said.
Oh, we didn't know, yeah.
We should be advertising the public hearing because we're
Yeah,
involved.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
great
it's the
point.
8th.
Thank
It
you.
should be on
Good
the
point.
website. I believe it's the 8th, right? April 8th?
Usually a few of them,
Yep.
Sometimes they schedule two, usually
Monday
one
Monday
public
is
hearing.
the municipal,
You'll
like,
send me an email?
Lori,
Yeah, remind me.
I'll send out the budget calendar.
Okay, that'd be
We
good.
should probably know
But it
that.
should be on the, I think she's saying if it could be on the website, that would be great.
We're
Jim?
gonna take care of that.
Thank
I
you.
know the answer.
Kathy,
It's
I
on my
just have one
calendar.
question for Lori. I did get a call from a constituent that asked about the school calendar.
Yes, it was on your agenda, for
Right.
tonight. We pulled it,
Okay.
from the
But
agenda.
she said usually there's a tentative one that's up on the website, just so they could see, it's not there, I guess.
Because we need to, have some discussion and make some changes,
Okay,
to the tentative one before we post it.
okay, all right, I'll just let her know that, but
We just need to sit with Mr. Levis when he comes back next week.
okay, perfect.
I'll have Sarah verify for sure, because she has the budget calendar, but April 8th is the public hearing.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
That was on my calendar anyway. Here's the 8th. And I won't be here on Monday because I'll be in Philadelphia at the NSBA, so I won't be able to make that workshop. I did see that on my calendar. Okay, any citizens' comments, or have we talked ourselves out? Going once? Okay, going twice. Shall we move, shall we schedule the next meeting?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that the next meeting of the school committee be scheduled for Thursday, April 11th, 2019, at 6 p.m. at Coventry Town Hall.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. And is there a motion to adjourn? I have 9:47.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned at 9:47 p.m.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. Thank you all for coming. You know, this is a late night. You call-